Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Nick Gill from Capgemini, and we've got a session this afternoon in English on Industry 4.0 and automotive. I don't know how we get the slides up. Let me just ask a question then, a bit of audience participation to start with. Industry 4.0, automotive. On a scale of 1 to 5, where 1 is, I don't even know what Industry 4.0 is, to 5, I wrote the book on Industry 4.0, where would you all say you are? Would you say you're a 1, I know nothing? Hands up. A 2, a 3, somewhere in the middle, a 4, pretty strong, and a 5. Whoa, that was, I'm going to hand you the microphone in a minute, okay? And the other one on automotive, the other side of it, the same question on automotive, a 1, I can spell it, but I don't really know what automotive is. How many? A 2, a 3, sort of middle, 4, and a 5. A couple more people there. Just checking there's nobody there. We're going to cover a couple of topics today. There's 2 of us who are going to be speaking. There's myself. How do I move this clicker? Okay. There's myself, Nick Gill, and also my beautiful assistant here, Pascal Brosset, who knows, is a real expert on digital manufacturing, who's going to cover. I'm going to talk a little bit more about some of the general trends in automotive and what's happening, what's been succeeding, what's been not succeeding in the Industry 4.0 area, and then Pascal's going to give a little bit more explanation of some of the real examples of where it's been happening. So a picture that I guess doesn't need any introduction. You'll all have seen something like this. This is a classic sort of the 4 industrial revolutions in the middle, from the birth of the car back in 150 years ago almost. The second industrial revolution was the production line, Henry Ford and so on. The third industrial revolution, which according to this says it was 1954 when the first robotics and process automation hit the industry. And then this 4th industrial revolution, Industry 4.0, which is really all around the integration, data usage, all of these technologies on the left-hand side here, all of the mobile, cloud, analytics, artificial intelligence, blockchain, how these are impacting. But it's also all of these market pulls on the right-hand side, which are dramatically changing manufacturing. And there's some which are obvious, like electric vehicles, that's changing the manufacturing process. Autonomous driving, there's quite a few autonomous vehicles around here that you can see look significantly different from the 13th version of the BMW 3 Series, I think, that's being launched today. But also some of the other areas in terms of connectivity, the very fact that every car is now going to be a unique product which needs to come off the production line with its own ID, the fact that mobility services need to be built in, and so the car buyer of tomorrow is more like a fleet buyer. It's moving from a business to consumer to a business to business world, and that fleet car is going to be on the roads 24/7, 365, and therefore from a manufacturing point of view, again, some differences in terms of their online sales. Again, I think the whole idea that really the consumer is king and is going to be driving the process, so an extension of the build to order that we've had for many years as well. We did a study, 2 studies in fact, and we're happy to share the study with you afterwards. One in 2017, one in 2018, looking at smart factories. And we had a definition of smart factories, but it really was, I suppose, everything you would imagine in terms of integration of deep analytics, AI into the production line. And it was saying, how many of you in automotive have smart factory initiatives? And globally, you see, so on the right-hand side, you'll see that 46% were saying that they've got something ongoing, and 43% were saying, well, we haven't got it going, but it's near, it's almost there. Interestingly, the country with the highest percentage of smart factory initiatives was France. And I'd probably leave that, I might even ask that, I'll put you on the spot, Pascal, to explain why we think France should be in the lead. I mean, obviously it's a positive position, but almost 2/3 of the companies in France are saying that they have smart factory initiatives, ahead of countries like Germany, UK, and then obviously some of the other countries, India, China, clearly a little bit further behind. But we then asked as well and say, how many of you, these are of the people who have smart factory initiatives, how much have you been investing in those initiatives? And you can see that the majority have been spending significant money, so above $250 million, and that the dark blue here shows that the automotive industry is spending more than other industries on this. And if I can explain why we did 2 surveys. In 2017, we did a survey covering all industries. And we found that the results for automotive were more extreme than for other industries. So in 2018, about 4 or 5 months ago now, about April, May, we did another study going deeper and with a broader number. So we asked about 320 automotive manufacturing executives in this study, so quite a deep study. And there have been some noted successes. Now, these are all public domain. Obviously, I'm not going to, I wouldn't share any confidences from clients. And a lot of these, there's an event every year in the US called the Consumer Automotive Research, CAR, which happens in Traverse City. And a lot of these companies were talking there on stage. There was one day which was around manufacturing and digital manufacturing, and a lot of the companies were talking about the successes and some of the failures, but as always, people were talking more about the successes. And they went into sort of 3 sort of types. So Toyota was talking just about a very successful project on preventive maintenance. But I think all of us would agree that probably that's the sort of thing that is probably the first step in the industry 4.0. There's a lot of proofs of concept. I mean, again, if I look for a show of hands, how many of you have been involved in some sort of preventive, predictive maintenance proof of concept? Yeah, quite a few. It is definitely one of the low-hanging fruits of this area. Then there were companies like General Motors, and they've got a project called Project Zero Downtime, and they were talking about Project Zero Downtime, where they've got 54 manufacturing plants around the world. They've got 14,000 robots, all from all different suppliers, and they have undertaken a project over the last 2 years to integrate all of those robots onto a single network, cloud-linked, so that they're sharing information between lines, between robots on lines, between lines, and between plants. It was very, and it is very unclear, I think, to see the business benefit that they've got, because they've only started to really get the results recently. But it was fascinating to see that the sort of things, the benefits they were getting, were not necessarily in the areas that they were expecting. And just to be able to say that, they were finding that there were 2 robots on the same line which were sending data in different ways, or that there were robots even in the same plant. I think they were thinking that the biggest benefits were going to be coming from sharing data between countries, between plants, between regions. But just at that level, they were finding some significant advantages. And then the third type is people like Audi who have a new plant. I mean, they're in the lucky position where they're building a new plant in Puebla in Mexico, and so they have a smart factory initiative, which I'm sure a lot of us might have been involved in, but they're where it is lots of different initiatives in one plant to see how they can really take the smart factory to the next level. But there have also been a few failures, or perhaps not failures, but people who are struggling. So this is the same survey, and we're asking across all of these industries, how many of you have got projects that are struggling? And so if you think back, about half of the companies are doing smart factory projects, and of those, about half are saying that they're not succeeding, they're struggling. And automotive, you'll see, the ones on the left-hand side are struggling more than other industries, particularly the suppliers more than the OEMs, but all of them are in a similar position. Why? Well, we asked some questions, but I think a lot of it is to do with the complexity and the maturity of the industry in terms of the manufacturing process. But we did then go and say, okay, what are the key challenges? And on the left-hand side here, people were saying, well, clearly there was a lack of investment. A lot of this was proof of concept, done fairly cheaply with just in the corner of a factory. Some of it to do with people, so capabilities. And then on the right-hand side here, you'll see that there was a lack of both top-down leadership, but also bottom-up internal coordination. And I think that's one of the things that we'll talk about later, but has really been the balance is how do you get that right level of top-down leadership commitment to drive change, but at the same time you've got the right source of getting the bottom-up ideas that are clearly critical to success. And then the other one, which is quite shocking, really, we did a similar study in 2012, so 6 years ago, and saying, okay, how many of you think you've got the right digital capabilities and how many of the right leadership capabilities? And the numbers have not improved. So basically, the digital capabilities in our companies are the same today as they were 6 years ago, and the leadership capabilities are seen or perceived to have gone down. And then on the right-hand side here, you've got the automotive numbers, which are even lower. So these automotive companies are saying, well, we think our digital capabilities are lower and our leadership capabilities are lower again. So clearly a major concern in that area. And I think this one was just something to say that I think there is a major challenge with this idea of Industry 4.0, digital manufacturing, and the automotive industry. And if we look at some of the ones on the right-hand side, the industry has been built up over 120, 130 years around, as GM said, Project Zero downtime, 0 failures, 100% quality, perfection. Test everything to death before you bring it out there. Everything takes 3 years to come to life. You have to have that really solid business plan that's been signed off by everybody. And everything is then done in a top-down waterfall approach. And yet the digital world is all around experimentation and failing and learning and speed. And so somehow these two don't fit very well together. And I think that's one of the major challenges. Plus then on the left-hand side, you've got all of these things are changing. That if you look at some of the vehicles that are around here, it's not about the driving experience in an autonomous vehicle. It's around the passenger experience. It's not around the performance of the vehicle in terms of its speed or its driving capabilities. It's more in terms of the technical functionality inside the car. It's less around engineering and more around data. So there are some major disruptions that are happening here which impact the success of some of these projects. So half of the projects are succeeding and only half of the companies have started. So to look deeper as to why that is and how we can overcome that, I'm going to ask Pascal to give us some experiences from his world here.
All right. Thank you, Nick. Do we have the microphone working? Yep. Thank you. So quickly, for me, the challenge is in here. When we talk about Industry 4.0, I hear a lot about what I call the shiny technologies, 3D printing, cobots, AR, VR. Those aren't fine, but that's what I call Industry 3.5. It is smarter automation, not 3D printing, which is potentially changing things more profoundly, although in the kind of quantities we produce cars in, probably not. But a cobot is a smart robot. AR, VR just makes smarter operators. This is okay. This is not what the challenge is. The real challenge is that for me, the big potential of Industry 4.0 is not, manufacturers know how to automate. They've been automating forever. Here what we're talking about is actually optimizing not one workstation, but the entire behavior of the plant. Use the data which is already present in all those plants, to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more percentage of quality of throughput. And on the positive side, if you do this right, for fairly minimal investments, because putting a robot in when we started costed $500,000, and the payback was usually 5 years. The kind of technology I'm going to talk to you, it's more 150K, and the payback is 3 months, and the payback goes directly to the bottom line. So the good news is, if you do this right, it pays. The bad news is it's technologically complex, even if the base technologies are fairly simple, and it is a big cultural challenge, and that's what we're going to talk about. So what I'm going to focus on is not so much what I call 3.5, smarter automation. This is not what the issue is for most manufacturers, is how do you use data to get more out of your factories. Now, as we said, most people are in the pilot phase, and technically, it works. So what I'm showing you here is an off-the-shelf solution from a small startup with whom we're working. Interestingly, this was not done by data scientists. This was done by process engineers from Valeo. So it's not data scientists who discover manufacturing, it's manufacturing engineers who discover data. And this is an integrated solution that comes with the connectivity, get the data up, sort out your data, analyze the data, find what are the main drivers of quality or throughput or whatever, and then drive the process. So it's a complete closed-loop solution. And this thing is usually, depending on how data is available, if you already have an historian where all the data is, it's a month and a half. If we need to do work to connect, it's 3, 4 months. But the time to value is really usually between 2 and 3 months. And this is the kind of results, and this is actual results delivered, not just in the auto industry, but many of those results come from tires, from mechanical manufacturing, as anything that has high series. So from a technology perspective, it works. Those are off-the-shelf solutions, and most, if not all of the manufacturers we talk have, either with this solution or others, done pilots, and it works. They're convinced. The problem now is, how do we scale? And everybody is at the same stage of how do we scale. Now, to scale, everybody's got kind of the same roadmap. Usually, people will start with performance management. I'm going to have an OE dashboard, and I'm going to surface my performance, which in the auto industry is already pretty much done, at least for the OEMs, not so much for the Tier 1 and Tier 2. Then, as we said, I'm going to go to maintenance, predictive maintenance, also off-the-shelf solutions, fairly easy to manage from a change management perspective, and every time I get 1% more reliability out of my stamping press, again, money to the bottom line. Then I go into something a little more complex, quality. Not only is the press stamping 95% or 99% of the time, but it's stamping the right quality. So I have to link it to a measuring machine, so a bit more complicated. So they go down scope. Then the other scale is start doing my processes repeatable, which again, OEMs are there, but in Tier 2, we see lots of deployment of paperless. There's still an awful lot of Post-its in the factories. So just going paperless is a first step to make sure your data is in one place. And believe it or not, but there are very good solutions. Then you go transparent, which is use this data to do fairly standard analytics. Then you go start optimizing with the kind of solution I showed you, the green circle. And then everybody's shooting for the goal, the grail, which is the autonomous factory, i.e., I don't have management running around solving problems. The factory self-adapts. This is 3 to 5 years out, but that should be the objective. So everybody's got this kind of roadmap, plus minus. Where we see people not doing such a good job is on the two extremes. The first one is the cultural transformation. And the cultural transformation is really hard because 3.0, Industry 3.0, with all due respect, when we replaced the welder with a welding robot, the welder had no choice. He had to retrain, and now he's programming the robot, hopefully, and using technology so that the robots, and as a result, we got much better welding, much more reliable data. He's done the transformation because he had no choice. Now we're adding camera on the robot, and we keep making it better, but that's well understood. Industry 4.0, on the other hand, the target of the change, if I may say, is not the manual worker, it's management. It's the guy who's running around the factory solving problems. The heroes who keep our factories running. And those guys, they have to do a similar step of, I'm the boss, I'm running the factory because my experience helps me solve problems, to I take a step backwards, and now my job is to tune this system that will run the factory for me. For the same reason, because IT is pretty stupid but pretty systematic, and as long as I run it myself, I'm going to be stuck at 85% throughput. I need to take one step back to go to 90 repeatedly. And this is really, really hard, because this is the reason, the value of those people. Now, the good news, if I may say, is all those guys have got the same color of hair as I. They're 60-ish and they're retiring. And I see lots of I vividly remember, not in your industry, but I had a meeting with the CIO of PepsiCo. They have plants all over the place. The first sentence he ever said, we're going to talk about Industry 4.0, the first sentence of the CIO was, the people who know how to run our factories are retiring. They are not being replaced, because the next generation is not going to spend 20 years learning the factory. And this is a huge problem. So this transition will happen, you like it or not. You might be forced, but it is fundamental. If you don't manage it, forget the technology, you're not going to get much. The second one, which I'm going to go in detail, is a technology transformation, and which is harder because the stack which has been running the factory, the ERP, the MES, the control, and the PLCs, that stack was, as Nick said, designed for efficiency. And it's not super flexible. So it was designed in a time where the factory would produce pretty much the same car with a limited number of options for 5 years. And now it's stuck in a world where not only the factory is going to produce the same car for 2 years or 3 years with so many options and so many changes, and where at the same time, I want to continuously tune that factory to go from 85, 86, 87, and be changing things all the time without breaking anything. So we need to go from loosely integrated and rigid systems, the ERP, loosely integrated with the MES, loosely integrated with the control system, all of them in their own ivory tower, to the exact opposite, which is highly integrated but flexible, which for those of you who know IT is not obvious. So we have CIOs, and auto CIOs are the same. They have this landscape. They have to deal with two very different worlds vertically. The IT world, which is the RP, SCM, PLM, which they master. And the lower world, some people tell me the MES could be on the border, and the other world, which is managed by engineering. And for a long, long time, those guys didn't talk. Now, again, this is being changed, and I keep having CIOs coming visit and say, you know what? My CEO just put me in charge of OT as well. The last one was SNCF, the CIO of SNCF, 3 months ago. His CEO said, you know what? You're going to take care of the border. You're in charge of the entire thing. So I see lots of new CIOs coming in who are in charge of everything. Good. This one is taken care of from an organizational perspective, but it's just starting. Then vertically, the same CIO has to deal with the existing stack that's here, which is producing so many thousand cars per day, so you don't touch it. And the new stack, which is the IoT stack, cloud analytics, edge computing, smart devices. So the very inflexible but super efficient stack, and the super flexible but I don't know how efficient new stack. And my green circle, you remember the green circle, is exactly at the intersection. You need the data coming from the shop floor, you need the context data from the ERP, and you leverage big data analytics. So to get to from 85 to 90, you need to solve that. And that's what we do. As Capgemini, that's what we also do, the change management, but that's what we do. And everybody is looking at kind of the same. And obviously, this is a gross simplification for any IT people in the room, but everybody has the same notion. The MES, the SCADA, and that thing, I'm not going to touch it. It runs. Please do not touch it. On the other hand, side by side, I'm going to deploy the new stack. Lots of investments into connectivity, because connectivity via the SCADA is still too expensive. So we even see people who say, you know what, connectivity is going to go entirely through the new stack. And anything I feed through the MES is going to come through the new stack. Lots of investment, and here the objective is cheaper, 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 faster. Deploy the right standard so that connecting a new sensor, which now costs 100 times less, deploying a new pressure sensor, vibration sensor, temperature sensor, 100 times less than if you do it through the classical stack. Then the whole data, good news, this is off the shelf. You go to Amazon, you go to Azure, this is off the shelf, what we call the data fabric, where you store the data, the new data coming through the collectivity, the old data from the SCADA, the MES, which is where you have the right technologies, if you know what you're doing. The mistake people do is the mythical data lake will solve everything. No, you still need to do your homework on the data model. Data governance becomes extremely important. And we find companies who don't have a data governance function yet, and that's causing problems. And then the last change on top of it, and the big revolution, what we call the app fabric, where we use modern development technologies. We leverage so-called microservices architecture and modern development tools where the MES is still the classical world. I get a new release every year if I'm really lucky. Now, what people want is, so it's not, I specify something, they take 6 months to deploy it and then to develop it, and then I get a year later. It is, I have this precise issue and I'm going to solve it in 3 weeks. And I want to solve it in 3 weeks without creating a problem because all of those things don't add up. And if you do it right, it works. So that's what we call Industry 4.0, one app at a time. And if you do it right, again, if you use mobile, you know, the magic about this way is rather than deploying a big ERP or a big MES where you have to do change management, one app at a time, people just use those things. And if you know how you do it, and if you design those succession of apps to go the right roadmap, it's fantastic. Extremely good results, for instance, at Total. We are deploying, we're deploying maintenance on that basis. They've never seen a deployment going that fast. People are actually asking for the apps. When you deploy an ERP, they go on strike not to use the thing. I spent 10 years at SAP. I've seen a few strikes. Here, people go on strike to get the apps. So the app fabric, and then on the MES side, the unit of measure is 5 to 25 million in 3 years. Here, the unit of measure is 50 to 100K in 3 weeks. And again, if you know what you're doing, it works. And then the art is over the next 5 years, the center of gravity of your stack is going to move from the left to the right. So people are going back MES. The main thing is we're decluttering MESs. People want to go back to the standard. Anything not standard, get it out. And I want to be able to upgrade my MES standard. I have an SAP MES. I want to have standard. I go to S4. I go to whatever. And anything specific, I bring it to the right platform. And if you do that right, fantastic. Now, everybody's going to ask me, where are you? Nobody's done it yet. I don't meet any enterprise architect who says it's technically impossible. And by the way, we do this on the front end all the time. On the front end of companies, we do this all the time. Those are front-end architectures. Minus the connectivity, you don't get factory data, you get sentiment analysis from your customers, but the rest is exactly the same. So technology perspective, architecture frameworks, we got everything. What we need to do is bring this into the much more conservative and real-time or pseudo-real-time world of production management, which is a real challenge. But again, everybody says it's possible. We have 10 customers today who are deploying the first proof of concept. And my strong belief is the first guys who are going to get that are going to have such a competitive advantage that you should join the club. That's it. Thank you very much. Nick.
That is it. That is it. It was just to say that, I think probably if there was sort of one key message that we're coming away with, we've got to move from the proof of concept phase to the deployment phase, from this sort of playing and on the edges to really getting in the middle of the things. It's not as difficult. Our experience is it's not as difficult, and it is something that we welcome the chance to work with any of you on going forward. So thank you very much indeed for your time.
All right. Works.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, we continue with the sessions this afternoon. We've all had something, I'm sure, to eat, all had a nice drink as well, perhaps a little bit of networking and a chance to maybe discover a little bit more about what Mondial Tech is all about. But right now, again, here on the ring stage, we continue with our themes of the day. This morning, we had our first theme. Right now, this is all about Industry 4.0. So remember, right now, this afternoon, it's all about that theme with insights, tips, advice, panel discussions. And remember also a little bit later on, we'll also be seeing another 8 startups, another 8 big ideas standing on the stage here, sharing their ideas to a set of panelists and jury members, all of those startups wanting to walk away as the winner of that startup session as well. So still lots to come this afternoon, as we've already had this morning and yesterday. Right, let's jump straight into this next session. So I ask you, evolution, Industry 4.0, evolution or disruption? I'm sure most of you have your own views on this, one or the other or the one. You will hear after this session, hopefully after this session, the people on stage here, the panelists, will give you some insights and certainly their perspectives of how it all works as well. So let me first of all introduce to you the panelists that are going to stand or sit on this stage and share their perspectives right now with you. So please welcome the VP Global Innovation, Ecosystem and Partnerships and Chairman of Nokia Bell Labs France, Nokia Bell, Mr. Jean-Luc Bella. Take a seat. Jean-Luc. Together with Jean-Luc, we also have the Corporate Strategy Director from Foratia. We have Fabrice Gauthier. Fabrice, join us. And the moderator, the man that's going to shape this conversation in the right direction for you right now. Please welcome the principal of Deloitte there, Laurent Béchet.
All right, you guys want to introduce yourself really quickly, give a short background for our audience here.
Okay, so I'm Fabrice Gauthier. I'm director in charge of manufacturing innovation, manufacturing and supply chain innovation for Forestia, which is a tier 1 automotive maker. I'm also speaking on behalf of the PFA, which is the platform filière automobile for the French automotive industry. And I will introduce the vision for Industry 4.0.
So, good afternoon. So, my name is Jean-Luc Bella. So, I have 2 jobs, but only 1 salary. But I'm in charge for the innovation ecosystem for Nokia Bell Labs, a global mission. And I'm so responsible for the Bell Labs France team, which is a research organization where we are preparing the future of Nokia.
And I'm Laurent Béchet. I'm a principal at Deloitte Consulting. I've been helping companies over the past 22 years implement and deploy transformations of their operations and supply chain using advanced operations improvement techniques, a lot of them that are manufacturing 4.0 based.
Okay, so to start with the topic, as we are at the automotive car show, I want to start speaking about a document that has been signed recently between 3 ministers, transport, economy and environment, which is about the strategic contract for the competitiveness of the automotive industry in France. I won't read it, no worries, but this extract is mentioning and focusing on some key challenges regarding Industry 4.0 for the automotive industry in France. What are these challenges? Few keywords. First challenge is the flexibility. We have a clear need of being able to adapt quickly to market, which is evolving with mass customization, high variation of volume sometimes, and industry and our manufacturing needs to adapt and be flexible. Traceability, especially the quality, is very important, and we need to be able to trace and have end-to-end visibility of our products. Digitization is clearly the trend of technology that will bring most, and my co-speakers will develop that. Lean is very important as well. We are still producing physical objects, and the principles of the Lean remain and will remain some strong principles guiding our choices. Automation is a very obvious trend, and all the industry is working on automating more tasks. And last but not least, human-centric. There will be transformations with Industry 4.0, strong ones, mainly brought by digitization. Anyway, at the center of the game, there will still be human in our plants, people working there, and we need to either, and in the meantime, get a good adoption of the new technologies that will come, as well as make sure the right competencies of people are there to make it happen.
So just as a quick background and a start, right? We have clearly entered our fourth industrial revolution. What we mean by that is that there is a trend to go towards end-to-end transparency, optimize resources. Those are the human resources as well as all the other assets, the development assets, the production assets, and so forth. A trend to have always-on agility, being able to adjust production schedules, production capacity, supply chains, respond to demand as seamlessly as possible. Holistic decision making, providing decision making that's based on a very large number and a growing number of facts and data that's available across the entire value chain, as well as a sort of permanent connected environment, like connecting all the way to the tier N of the supply base as well as to the customers from the producers. This is all based on a foundation of cybersecurity, as data and the use of data is increasing as data is being shared. There are more and more concerns about protecting that data, protecting access to that data, making sure that there's data integrity, that all that data is correct, is used correctly and shared correctly. Talent is another concern for a lot of the companies that are getting into that era. The talent needs to adapt to the new demand, to the new technology, from a user standpoint, from a user interface standpoint, as well as from a capability and knowledge standpoint. And of course, safety is still prominent for a lot of the clients and the companies that use new technologies that have impacts or consequences that are not always known from the beginning. So we're seeing an unprecedented change, and with that, a number of opportunities, right? There's a number of trends that everybody has seen around hyperconnectivity, right? We estimate that there's going to be above 6 billion smartphones by 2020, 30 billion objects connected by 2030. There's a tsunami of data coming from all those objects that are connected, that are producing, that are retrieving information from the physical world and translating it into digital objects. We think that there'll be 9 times more unstructured data by 2020, and there's been 269 times more data created by IoT devices by 2019. In a similar way, diversity and generational change. We see that the new millennial have different aspirations. In the example of automotive, the car is not a status symbol anymore. A lot of the millennials are not as interested in owning a car. That's why we talk so much about mobility versus cars themselves. At the same time, there's also exponential performance in terms of bandwidth, storage, computing, from a lot of the technology devices that are available. And the cost of all those devices, including the cost of artificial intelligence, cognitive computing, robotics, has decreased significantly over the previous years. All those trends have allowed for disruptive models to emerge. And we know of a number of companies that have already changed the game, right, in the automotive world, as well as in other industries. We talk about autonomous vehicles with Google, companies like Lyft and Uber, all the share, the ride-sharing applications that are enabled by technology, and we see the same sort of trends in other industries, aerospace, retail. Amazon is now disruptive in the whole entirely retail industry. We see the same things with companies like Airbnb in the hotel industry. So lots of technology-enabled trends that have created opportunity for disruptive business models. And those trends collide with what we call the more traditional issues, right? There are new challenges that are coming from this. There's a digital mandate, complexity of the digitalization of those applications. There is uncertainty around the roadmaps. A lot of leaders in the industry are missing a roadmap on how to develop and deploy manufacturing 4.0 technologies. Some of those benefits are unclear. There's a lot of security concerns. As we said, the talent gap is an issue as well. Finding enough resources and skilled resources that are adapted to the new technologies. And those collide with the more traditional issues. There are still a lot of issues around the complexity of the product offering, with all the connected vehicles, with all the features that are, for example, in a car today around connectivity, safety, and so on. We've seen the number of different configurations for even a simple vehicle reach out the millions. And this is a complexity that has to be managed by OEMs all the way through operation and supply chain. So we've conducted a survey with over 500 global C-suite executives, which have reveals interesting insights into how digitalization is impacting the business. 2/3 of them believe that 40% of Fortune 500 companies will no longer exist in 10-year times due to the digital disruption. 87% of them think that digital supply networks is going to threaten or disrupt their own business. A lot of them think that they are not necessarily prepared from a talent perspective, as well from an organization structure perspective. 92% believe that the organization are not correctly set up and structured to operate into this new environment. 44% believe the organization is preparing for disruption, but we see that there is only 51% of the investment that are focused on operations and not necessarily on other aspects of the value chain, such as customer experience and new operating model. So a lot of percentages and data that provide insights on the belief that there is a risk of disruption to the business, but not necessarily a good way to be part of that disruption or drive that disruption. And this has led to a number of paradoxes that we've seen related to disruption. the strategy paradox. There's 94% of the executives that were surveyed that believe that digital transformation will be strategic to the organization, but only 50% believe that it will actually improve their profitability. That leads to a lot of projects where a lot of companies, from what we're seeing, feel that they have to do something about manufacturing 4.0, use the technology, dab into it, but without a clear agenda or a clear roadmap on what they're trying to achieve with it. And that ties to our theme here around evolution or disruption. We still see that there is a lot of companies that use manufacturing 4.0 to slightly improve on their productivity, on some of their performance, but very few that actually explore new business models, explore ways to completely disrupt their own industry. We see this also on the supply chain paradox. There's about 62% of the respondents that consider supply chain as the #1 future investment, typically in the area of performance improvement, which we would consider an evolution rather than disruption. But only 27% of the supply chain leaders were involved in some of those decisions. And there's also very limited investment in the actual innovation. So a lot of investment in improving productivity, improving operational goals with unclear return on investments, but very limited innovation in exploring a way to completely disrupt their businesses. And we believe that part of that is the inability to further extend what we call the physical to digital to physical loop. So if you look at this loop here, basically a lot of the companies that we're seeing dab into the physical to digital. They extract data from a number of sensors from the world. They transform it into digital data. Some of them are fairly good at providing analytics, analyzing that data. Very few actually use that data to then impact the physical world. And when we say impacting the physical world, you see the additive manufacturing, robotics, autonomous transformation. This is a fraction of all of the investments and initiatives that are happening in the manufacturing 4.0 space right now. So one of the answers is to create an environment to accelerate and succeed in that space. And we believe a lot of organizations are not well structured to allow for disruption rather than evolution. Right now, most of the investments in manufacturing 4.0 consist in pilots in areas that will improve slightly some of the current performance. So do a little bit better what you were already doing before. There's very few organizations that are set up to allow their employees to really explore what we would consider the more disruptive approaches to manufacturing 4.0. So allow for an entire business model to be created. There's typically investments and fundings that are available for pilots on improvements that have to have a return on investment that needs to be pretty clear. A lot of enterprises are still looking for immediate benefits to some of those pilots, but we know that sometimes coming up with a completely disruptive model means that you will have to lose money for a while, invest without any clear return until you can actually really emerge with that new business model. So this approach where we need to first think big, immerse a number of the leaders in innovation, explore what other partners in the industry are doing, then start small with some pilots that are fairly focused, but that are immediately followed by an ability to scale fast and turn those pilots into much larger initiatives that are also marketed internally and externally.
Okay, thanks. Behind all this transformation, which are very critical, so we are talking today about the transformation of industry, but we could say the same for the mobility, for the city, for the energy. So behind all this transformation, there are some enablers. And one of these is what we could summarize as automation of everything. We could now really measure everything. We have sensor for presence, sensor for temperature, sensors for video, etc. Is all we call Internet of Things. This means that this sensor produces data. This data, we could analyze this data, and we could have a loop to optimize. It's a smart everything, smart industry, smart cities, etc. And this is a big change, because now we are living in a world with some limitation in terms of resource, limitation of everything. So to transform all the society, we need really to optimize. And this loop of optimization is critical for the implementation of all smart solutions, not only the industry, but for the mobility and so on. And there is an impact for this, because if you multiply the connectivity in all directions, you increase the bandwidth, but when you need to react, you need to react quickly. And so we need to introduce low latency. Today, the latency is very small, but still visible. And so there is a fundamental needs change at the network for the digital infrastructure to drive everything. And so, like you said, we need more bandwidth, and there are more and more people using devices. So we take the example of the smartphone, but tomorrow the bandwidth will be multiplied by all the sensor, all the Internet of Things, and on the top of this, interaction between these different services. And we will have also new technology, deep tech, like augmented reality, virtual reality, asking both high bandwidth and low latency. And low latency, this means there is an impact in the network. Sometimes we could do some processing somewhere in the cloud, but if you have to wait the feedback of your information, you could not implement really new services. So this means that for the network, we need to do this processing close to the end user, at the edge of the network. So it's a big change in terms of architecture. We are moving from interaction between global and local organizations, and this to introduce new services. And it's fundamental, the basic of the 5G generation. Probably you heard about the 5G, more bandwidth, less latency, but in fact this 5G network is really the digital infrastructure for the new challenges in industry, in mobility, in energy, health, etc. Because we will have a full change of the architecture, a lot of connectivity, low latency, but the core of the network will be also fully virtualized in order to interact with the cloud, with the ability to implement new services, more agility. So in fact, you could have service on demand, and you could also have operation of service inside the service. This means that we will see new operator for new type of activity. And one key business which will be impacted by this is also the mobility. A lot of people are, here we are talking about the car, but the car sharing, the interaction with personal car and public solution, etc. For this, we need really to have this type of new services, taking advantage of the data, taking advantage of distributed processing, the implementation of artificial intelligence. And for all this transformation, not only the transformation of the industry, the transformation of the digital infrastructure is a key to be managed from end to end, from the connectivity up to the service. And is what we are doing in Nokia, because we are present in different parts in the network, but we are able really to architecture the end-to-end solution. And thanks to this new architecture, the 5G, we could share also with the different service providers the data of the network in order also to enrich the services. So when we are talking about industrial, the new generation for industrial plan, we are also talking in terms of digitalization of a new generation of network, the 5G network. And in fact, this is the enabling component for all the transformation required by the modern society, where we need really to optimize the mobility, the energy, the resource at large. So now the question, if manufacturing 4.0 It's an evolution and a disruption. From my side, is a disruption because we will use more information and we will improve, we will increase and accelerate and give more value for the product. But obviously, we need to use to have a continuity with the today market. Maybe you have a different comment?
So yes, I would attempt to answer evolution and disruption. The challenge for automobile will be to do a fast evolution. It's not necessarily a huge disruption for our already existing plants, but what we'll need to do anyways is to evolve very fast, and this is where the challenge is.
And Jean-Luc talked about some of the enablers, like 5G being kind of the infrastructure enabled to disruptions in the manufacturing 4.0 space, right? Where latency, speed, being able to have real-time feedback and analysis on data is an enabler to allow some of those disruptive models. In the same manner, we've seen that many of the organizations right now, many companies are not necessarily set up and structured to really allow those disruptions to emerge from within, right? Where it's much easier for many of the companies to use manufacturing 4.0 for evolution, do some of the things that they were doing before just better, better productivity, have those sort of small pilots. It will take for a lot of those organizations to rethink their structure and enable. We talk sometimes about small, black ops team that can be an organization within the organization that doesn't have the same sort of constraints and limitation than the rest of the organization to invest, to try new ideas and be bold about them, to really identify those new business models that are going to be disruptive and that can fully leverage the technology and all the technology and the connectivity and all the applications that are available right now. We've seen that the ones that are the most successful are the ones that go end-to-end across the value chain and that try to close this loop all the way to going from this physical to digital transformation, all the way back to the digital and back to the physical. The ones that actually have an impact on the physical work from the data that they've been analyzing.
And in fact, what is very complex is in transformation is the speed. And just to share one point today, we will have now access to a network with low latency. So people are thinking what we could do again with that. And we will have in the same time really very performing artificial intelligence with a good level of performance. It's not a new technology, but it was a long time really not performing. Now it's performing thanks to the capacity of the processing, the volume of the data. So this means that we could do optimize the data very close to the end user, and we could decentralize the processing. And thanks to this, the conjugation of these two trends, and the impact is a big transformation of the processing industry, in fact. Now you could have, even in your smartphone, something which is very powerful and adapt to new services. So just in all this deep tech, this deep technology could in few years, I don't speak about a decade, I speak about few years, change a lot of things. And typically the link between new network generation, artificial intelligence, distribution processing will implement a lot of new services, and it's changing all the different segments. We are talking about the industry today, but for the city, for the food, for health, all these segments will be transformed by this deep tech. You want to add?
Yeah, maybe as a last word, I'd say that when we look at companies that try to do things in the manufacturing 4.0 space, there are really the companies that we think do digital, have a bunch of pilots, short initiatives, and the ones that are digital. And the ones that are digital are the ones that have structured themselves to allow for those disruptions, that have structured themselves, that have changed their model, their operating model to actually be digital and leverage all of the digital functionality. So not the ones that haven't changed their operating model. If you think of a sort of spectrum of maturity of manufacturing 4.0 maturity, one end of the spectrum is keep the same business model, just use manufacturing 4.0 technology to do a little bit better. On the other end of the spectrum, there are the ones that actually have completely changed their operating model to be based on those technologies and all the applications of manufacturing 4.0. And that's a fundamental shift in the structure of those companies that makes the difference between evolution and disruption with manufacturing 4.0. I think we're at the end of our time.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Jean-Luc, Fabrice, and Laurent. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Right, so we are about to move on now to our next session this afternoon. Just before I do so, just remember everything that we see here, that you see here, that you experience here, that you hear on stage. Listen, you can relive it all over again, because what's happening is we have 3 cameras and this is all live streamed. So whether it's YouTube or whether it's the Mondial.tech website, you can see the live streaming link there, or you can share out that link to your colleagues, partners, family members, anybody across the world who you maybe think would benefit from joining us here at the Ring Stage right here in Paris. So remember, at the end of the day as well, all the sessions of the day are put on YouTube. So pretty much at the end of the week, everything that happens here on the Ring Stage, you can actually see all over again, if you want to, every single day. Up to you. Right, we move on to our next session. This is a session entitled Why Success is Not Just About Technology. So the success of Industry 4.0 revolution certainly isn't just about technology, and the man about to stand on this stage is going to tell you exactly why. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage our next speaker of the day, Vice President of the Group and Strategy of Innovation at A-System Technologies, Mr. Yigal Levy. Thank you.
Hi all, thank you very much. I'm Yigal Levy from A-System Technologies. First of all, some words on A-System Technologies. A-System Technologies is an engineering, quality, and digital solutions firm. We have a global reach. We are present in 25 countries. We have a workforce of 15,000 and a 1 billion turnover last year. We work with industry leaders in technology-intensive sectors, one of our key sectors being automotive. That is actually why I'm very happy to be standing in front of you today. Industry 4.0 term was created early 2010s in Germany. So I think it's important to understand that this term is already been around for more than 8 years. So I'm not going to ask you if you know any project around Industry 4.0. Still, I will ask you one question. Do you know one company that has fully implemented the 4.0 potential? I'm almost sure that the answer would be very different. I'm here today to share my views, the views of A-System Technologies on Industry 4.0 success. In fact, we believe that Industry 4.0 success is not only about technology, but it's also about adopting a systemic approach and of the human factor. In fact, this being said, we have seen successes in Industry 4.0. As an example, Adidas has set up its Speed Factory concept, which integrates most of digital technologies to reach very ambitious production lead time and flexibility objectives with very good success. Actually, they want to extend this concept to produce 2 million shoes in 2020. Still, 2 million shoes is less than 1% of Adidas production. Recently, a French engineering services union published a survey on digital transformation maturity. It's interesting to see that more than 45% of industrial companies have only started digital transformation, and then less than 15% have fully adopted it. So, adoption at scale is actually lagging behind. So why is that? One could say technology. Technology is not mature, therefore it's not adopted. I would argue that today we already have Industry 4.0 technologies available to provide very large, I would say even double-digit benefits. What you see in the screen are commonly accepted gains in the deployment of Industry 4.0 technologies. On our side, thanks to the deployment of a digital solution in quality inspection for a large manufacturer, we were actually possible to make 50% gain in productivity. In addition to that, thanks to the introduction of advanced simulation in 3D printing, we were able to reduce time to market for 3D printed metallic parts in 50%. So actually, local successes do exist. Still, the scaling is not at the level that it should, or that we would expect it to be. So, what are the obstacles on the road? What is preventing from these gains to be fully deployed? We believe there are two families of reasons. One is sectorial specificities, and the second one is change management. Sectorial specificities, why? Why? Because each sector, each vertical has its own constraints. I'm going to give you a very simple, maybe naive example. Chatbots are very present in our daily life in B2C. Still, we have not been able to overcome the ambient noise issue in industry. Change management, why? If there's no adoption in the shop floor, if operators do not buy the solution, if you have not taken into account the local specificities of the shop floor, nothing will happen. So what to do then? Our experience showed that the adoption of 3 best practices increases significantly the chances of success in a large Industry 4.0 project. These 3 best practices are: 1, the adoption of a systemic approach; 2, the identification of digital skills and the forecasts of needs; and 3, the support of change. In order to illustrate these 3 actions, I'm going to use an example of a project in which we were integrated. This project is about integration of manufacturing execution systems. Just for information, usually these projects are very long and very complicated. So coming back to our recommendations, we said 1, the adoption of a systemic approach. In fact, on the beginning of the project, we do see that proof of concept implementation are today, unfortunately, more driven by technology hype and technology popularity than by personal use case prioritization. On the other side of the spectrum, at deployment industrialization level, what we see is that detailed design and adoption of change are not taking at the level of importance that they should. Again, as I said before, local specificities, specific interfaces, different maturities of technology in each shop floor are key aspects that can make or break a project. Coming back to our MES example, at the beginning of the project, a central unit was set up to be able to assess the feasibility of the project, assess the return of investment of the project, and most importantly, carefully plan local implementation. Our second recommendation is around identification of digital skills and forecasting needs. First, and it's going to sound very simple, it's key to scope the digital technologies on which you want to focus on. The 10 technologies that you see in the screen, or skills that you see in the screen, took us some, I would say maybe too much time to finalize. Then you need to decide and check what is the maturity for each of these technologies. This can be a very lengthy process. Why? Because usually HR systems are not adapted to digital technologies. So the process of identification of experts is quite long. Finally, it's important to forecast future needs. This analysis is something that has to be done on a case-by-case basis because each company has its own needs. But it's a clear action to be done to be able to fill the gap and to especially define an action plan to recruit people. Coming back to our MES example, the central cell I was talking about did actually analyze the MES expertise in the company, did actually define the needs in the future, and most importantly, created an action plan to recruit and to train the required people to fill the gap. Last but not least, our third recommendation is around change management. This is very basic, I can admit that. Still, sometimes simple things do work. So in change management, 3 key topics. One is training centers and setting up training centers. Second one is around creating ambassador communities and certifications to relay the transformation urgency and to create an incentive. Finally, the involvement of senior managers is key to overcome the conservatism and resistance of the shop floor. Coming back to our example, to the MES example, the project created a full dedicated workstream on change management, which meant resources for training centers in each shop floor, which meant having a go-to person in each shop floor to be able to relay the progress and the message around the implementation of the project. And finally, the CEO of the company was at the origin of the go of the project, and he communicated intensively on the progress. So, in summary, Industry 4.0 has been around for over 10 years. It's not time to make it happen at scale. For that, let's remember to adopt a systemic approach and to take care of people and skills first. Of course, this is my and Assistem Technologies' opinion. I will be more than happy to discuss this with you later today in the stand which is over there. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Yigal Levy.
House music. House music. House music. Not everyone understands house music. It's a spiritual thing. body thing, a soul thing, a soul thing. Not everyone understands house music. It's a spiritual thing, a body thing.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we continue, we go on, we move on to our next session. But before we do that, just remember, if you'd like a translation, if you'd like it in French or, well, yes, just in French, in fact, very, very simply, you can just get that click of a button on your smartphone. If you look, again, look at the screens there, you can see how easily it's done. All you have to do is download the application, be online, be on Wi-Fi, and voila, that's it. You can just, with your actual smartphone, you can listen to the translation. We have the translation service here throughout the day and throughout the week as well. You'll also need earphones, headphones, and we have them just over there by the entrance as well. So if you do wish to have the translation in French or English, when we have occasionally in French the sessions, then you can easily listen on your smartphone. Right, we continue with the theme of this afternoon, Industry 4.0, and this is all about looking at the future, looking into the future, really what's next in Industry 4.0. Again, I'm sure many of you will have your own opinion and an own perspective on this, but what we're going to do now is bring a group of people together, experts in the industry, to share their ideas, insights, and views on really where it's heading and where it's going in the future. So let me first of all invite the first panelist up onto the stage, the VP from Robert Bosch Venture Capital, Geet Bedford. Geeta, come and join us. Take a seat, choose which one you like. We also have Head of Customer Experience Strategy and Innovation at Volkswagen, Dr. Niels Huske. Welcome. Take a seat. Together with Niels and Geeta, we also have a partner at MHP and co-founder at Dynamics, Tanya Kufner. Tanya, please join us. And also the marketing director at Nokia, Gilbert Marciano. Come and join us as well. And finally, the gentleman, we've seen him many, many times already. He does a fantastic job, so he's back once again from Deloitte. Guillaume Crunel, the moderator who's going to shape this session in the right way.
Hi everybody, so we are really happy to have you all here to talk about what's next in Industry 4.0. I'm especially happy to have here all those guests, fabulous with different origins and from VPs and VCs, head of customer experience, marketing director. This really shows up how diverse are the stakeholders in this world of Industry 4.0, and this is this variety of experience and visions that we would like to have the opportunity to share with you today when we try to look at the future. So before starting this conversation, I would like to give you all the opportunity to just tell us a word of what you're doing and what's make you special in your own organization. Maybe, Geeta, you can start on this. What makes you special at Bosch?
Okay,
now?
What makes me special? I guess there are two aspects to your question. One, of course, Bosch, a large corporate. We are not only a user of Industry 4.0, we are also a provider, a supplier of Industry 4.0. And that is a topic that is of high relevance to Bosch. And maybe just to give you a number there, we set ourselves the goal to achieve 1 billion euros cost saving, efficiency savings in our production, and also the same amount achieve additional turnover by 2020. And then there's another aspect that I was just saying. I'm actually from the venture group, so we are the guys that invest in startups, in the really cool disrupting startups. And I think there are great opportunities for them now in Industry 4.0.
And you're a member of the jury as well, so...
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I don't take bribes, sorry.
Niels, what makes you special?
Thank you. Yeah, so what makes Volkswagen special when it comes to Industry 4.0? Of course, for us as well, this is something that has become a commodity now. I mean, Industry 4.0 is nothing new anymore for us. Highly automated factories, highly automated production is something that the automotive industry has had for years. You know, robotics is an absolute standard. But I think what makes Volkswagen special in this regard is that we always emphasize the opportunity to connect the people on the shop floor as well with the automation. So we don't try to get them completely out of the factory, but always to have an interaction of the machine and the human in the factory.
Thank you. Tanya?
Hi, nice to be here. Thank you for having me. So my background is also similar to Gitte. I've been involved in venturing. I've invested in a lot of different startups, going from Series C, Series B, Series A. And in the last 5 years, I've been trying to hack bringing corporates and startups together in a meaningful way. Had a lot of learnings, worked with a lot of big corporates like Mercedes or Airbus and many other corporates, helping them on their innovation on the one side, at the same time bringing them together with startups and making that a meaningful relationship. And I've taken a lot of the learnings because it is extraordinarily painful to try to make that a success story, that a lot of startups will do one POC with a big corporate, and then that's basically for the most part it, especially when you're talking in my scenario, it's very much enterprise focused, it's very much B2B, and it's not an app, it's about getting into the car or flying into the flying car into space. And integrating startup technology into that particular stack is extraordinarily difficult. And I'm now building a very new venture arm and venture client for all of these startups that need to go into more legacy systems, into ERP systems, and so on and so forth. So I'm trying to hack what I've learned in the last 7 years.
Thanks, Tanya. Gilbert, maybe it's interesting to know what Nokia brings into the game, especially...
Yeah, of course, for Nokia it's very important, this topic of Industry 4.0. Why? Because we think that the communication network, which is what we are providing solution of communication, and the underlying technology are very important in this digital world. And we think that the industry are asking us, in fact, to have communication network, more agile, more fast, more secure, and it's very important for us to create the technology we can allow to increase. We know that the standard of Industry 4.0 is already here, but we think that the innovation that Nokia can provide by creating on 5G, on artificial intelligence, on analytics, on different topics, Internet of Things and so on, can provide things in order to improve and to reach this target of agility. And it's what already we are testing with a lot of players in the ecosystem in order to see and to in the real gain of such technology on the manufacturing, for example.
Thank you. As you said, Niels, we've been talking about this concept for maybe 5-10 years, and now it's some kind of commodity. But one word you mentioned, basically all, was the term of innovation. So I felt like that basically Industry 4.0 also changed the way you innovate or have to innovate into your own companies or the companies you're serving. Is this something you can elaborate on?
Sure. So the way innovation in Industry 4.0 works, when we look at startups in that domain, which we of course do as in all domains that are interesting to Volkswagen, there is a particular challenge for those startups because they have to be on a level of professionalism that is not easily achieved because they have to be on the same level as a Bosch, as a big supplier company, as a Nokia, which are all very professional firms. So integrating a startup because they just have the next best sensor developed in the tiny lab and maybe tested for a couple of months, that is not the level of professionalism that we of course need in a big factory or big factories, big plants like Volkswagen. So to have a really interesting product as a startup in this domain, in this market, we definitely need partners, to bring them on a level of standardization, on a level of processes that make it integratable for us.
Tanya, you seems to something to add.
My gosh. So we were thinking this whole time, how can we make this panel more interesting? Because we all love each other and we all agree. So I'm going to try to hack this now by saying you're absolutely not right.
Okay.
Let's try to do something different here. This is exactly the problem. So I think it was a study that Deloitte put out. If you look at Industry 4.0 in terms of cycles, right? There's different sort of hypercycles. So if you look at the early horizon, right? The early horizon is what we've done in the automotive industry forever, which is process optimization, right? A lot of that has to do with internal processes. It's easy. You don't need to work with external technology. You basically just organize yourself. And then there's, basically process the next level where you start looking at external technologies, right? And you start looking at integrating IoT startups or AI startups. And then at the very end, the next horizon is looking at completely new business models, which is where I see startups playing the greatest role, right? But I fully agree with you. I mean, integrating them is a real pain in the ass. But at the same time, I think what corporates need to do is they need to hack their own internal systems to make that easier. Because you cannot, no startup pre-Series A, or even if they've got a Series A, is going to be compliant enough. So my job is to make sure that your purchasing department and your procurement and your legal is organized enough and is hacked in such a way that it can work with startups. So I understand compliance is a pain, but at the same time, I'm trying to find a way so I can do that for you by taking on the risk or rebuilding part of your tech to fit into that enterprise legacy system, right?
Yeah, and that makes absolute sense. But that's exactly the way of integration that we either need to build internally or together with partners that we need to bring in startups, because otherwise we will always have our quality standard, and the quality standard at the end of the day must be met, because that's what the customers expect from our products, whether they are physical as today or digital as in today and the near future. But the quality has to be at that level. That is the DNA of Volkswagen.
I'm actually totally agreeing with him. But
thought you wanted to disagree here.
It just was fun.
Well, so basically, with what we say, it's absolutely the situation we are facing when you're trying to integrate startups. It's basically bringing them to the level of quality, of one of the highest level of quality that exists in this industry, basically being the one of the automotive ecosystem. And the real question is, do you have to put the startup or expect them to go up to speed to reach this level of quality, or shall you change your own organization to help them level up this quality and integrate faster? So the question is, do they have to change quicker or be better? Or do you have to change yourself more in your organization? Gitte, what do you think about this?
Oh, I was afraid you might ask me.
You're too close.
Because I'm too close. I'm too close. And I am not sure. I think it's, yeah, of course, it's a very political question. So we say, okay, a bit of both, right? But for a startup to enter the enterprise space, they need to be brave. Let's be honest here, yeah? It's not writing a nice app and hope that enough of your friends jump onto it and then you scale from there. Enterprise has always been a battleground for startups. That's why I also don't recommend it for someone straight out of university founding a startup in the enterprise space. It's tough. You need to come to a certain level. You need to be able to stand on your own feet. Getting to the POC, that is usually quite all right. And I had an interesting discussion actually with one of the startups, and he was telling me, he said, Gitte, POC is okay, we can do the prototype, we can also maybe do for kind of a better release, but then we need the likes of Bosch who help us with the productization. So that's why I'm saying a little bit of both. Ideally as an investor, I want the startup to be able to do the whole lot, including the productization. How they do it, of course, they probably might need strong investors, they might need partners. Of course, we've got Tanya, and she's exactly working on that little interface where you kind of come out of school and get into the real life as a startup.
Gilbert, from Nokia standpoint, do you concur with this kind of statements, or do you feel positioned in a different way?
But in fact, the ecosystem is key. What we think it's that the use case approach is very important in the industry 4.0, and for each of a new technology, our approach is really to define the use case, but with the right stakeholder. That means that we need really to meet the different people around the business model, and to be able to discuss together, and so we need competency either of big company like operators, like the car manufacturers and things like that, for example, for the industry of automotive, but also with startup, which each of them are coming with a piece of the puzzle. In fact, the security as a service, the payment as a service, the augmented reality. So each of these kind of innovation can be you can bring the flexibility of innovation from this startup, and to inject that in the full picture in order to realize the use case is really our approach.
So rebounding on your statement, I think that if you go 5-10 years backwards, it's a radical change in culture of certain companies that have been through to adapt this kind of system.
I think it's something that we anticipate in Nokia. For example, we create what we name the NG Connect program. In this program, we have a lot of members from all industry, and we have some what we name ideation session. It's like a deep dive where we discuss about possible proof of concept. When we decide that this proof of concept has a reliable business model, we decide to develop it, to show it, to make the showcase of this proof of concept. We did one last year with Hertz and Continental on IoT, on Internet of Things, with a rental car, with a very, very interesting application. And it's the way we proceed. And if at the end we consider that it can lead to a solution which can be sellable, which can be interesting to be sold, we go from the proof of concept to the industrialization phase. It's really the process that we set up. We started with Internet of Things, and now we are doing with the 5G, which are coming.
So I have a question to that. Is that describing your internal ideation process, your internal innovation, or is that something that you work on with startups together?
What we try to do is that the NG Connect is completely not. We are in the member, but at the end it's completely open. Anyone from you can go on the web and ask to be a member and can participate to this ideation. So it's something that we want to be very open initiative, you see. And this is also the same, for example, we are member of the 5G AA Automobile Association. It's the same idea. It's really to be in a consortium with different people which are bringing their own value in order to create something which are strong on the market.
But my question to you also, Gilbert, is I think everybody here knows exactly what to do once we have the technology of 5G, right? The question is who's responsible for rolling out the infrastructure, and what are the biggest challenges in making that happen? Because we know what we want to do with it, right? Once we get it.
In fact, it's one, I think, of the strength of the 5G, that today is not only for the operators' business. That means, of course, the main stream, I would say, it's for the operator providing consumer application and so on. But we have new functionality in the 5G, which allow to address also the industry needs with what we named, for example, the network slicing. It's a specific feature of the 5G which allow to have a specific quality of service which is dedicated to specific needs. That means, for example, in your factory of Volkswagen, you can have your own slice, and you can completely control the SLA on it the way you will use the radio resource inside your factory in order to make automation, to make remote autonomous vehicle, all things that you want inside the factory, you can control it. And the operator is only here to give you the access to the frequency, but you will have own control of your resources.
So this is the example we discussed previously, and I think it was important for you to explain what 5G could bring into the factory and how it could make it more agile, could make it more efficient.
Yeah, in fact, the 5G is more than the connectivity. It's allows this new business model. Network slicing is very important for the industry because what I said about the control of the resource and the quality of service on the usage, but 5G is coming with more capacity, so which allow you application like video analytics, things like that. It will bring massive type of communication. We are able, with one cell in 5G, to cover 1 million objects. So imagine, for example, in a very big factory, the number of sensors that you can have. All these systems can be connected using the 5G only with one cell. After you have the critical type of communication, which is also very key. There is 2 points in the critical. There is a latency, that means the response time of the network. And there is another point which is important, is the reliability. Today, most of the industry don't use the wireless for the factory because they cannot rely on that for the critical process. Thanks to the 5G, it's more reliable in interfered environment, so you can use wireless in complement of the wired. So it's very important, for example, for robotics or things like that. What is also very important with this critical, it's really all this possibility to reduce the time for your process. For example, we do something in an experimentation with Bosch, and we presented in Hanover last year. It was what we name a real-time data machine. And the idea of this machine is to show that we are now able to collect data from a massive collection of data from the factory, to post-process it here in the cloud, producing analytics, and after to able to control the environments. And this in very fast time. We estimate that we have a gain of 10 times compared to what the legacy system is doing today in terms of data transfer. We are reaching 10 gigabits per second on this experimentation with Bosch.
So basically what we're understanding is that 5G is allowing you to be more efficient, more agile, transforming
exactly.
manufacturing process, but at the same time, I assume this would unlock some potentialities of services and startups to work on. Do you see this kind of, when I talk to the VCs here, but do you see some targets that in that field at the moment you're looking at? Anticipating the 5G revolution, or?
I guess 5G is a little bit behind plan. So that actually opened up some opportunities for others that in the low power wide area network space. So if those for you who know about it, they are growing quite nicely. I am convinced that 5G will definitely be a game changer. It will help immensely, not just in Industry 4.0, also if you think of the autonomous cars, as you already mentioned. We need it, so we're all waiting for it. It's like Christmas. But there are, of course, also other areas, because you were saying, okay, what can startups do? So I was just thinking about it when you said it. So which are the areas that are where we see a lot of activities in the startup space? I actually would say robotics, you mentioned it, is definitely one. So I mean, we had certain robotics, you have been using them for centuries, feels like it. But there are the collaborative robots nowadays, you know, where you just guide them and then they learn. I think the next step, what will happen is that the robots will observe people doing certain tasks that can currently not be automated. Yeah. And we use call it machine learning, call it artificial intelligence. But I think that is something where we also then, where I see also an area where startups can be successful. robotics, machine learning. We see a lot in the computer vision because, of course, you need as well. Tanya, you
Everybody wants to
AR,
react on this
VR
side.
in the production and all these kinds of things, right? Also, which you need 5G theoretically.
I have only one example, which is very interesting, in order to show how we can use the startup. We are today showcasing a use case, which is the field maintenance inside the nuclear plants for utility. And the idea is to have robots which are on wheel and with 360 camera on the top of the camera, and we put it in the containment where it's radioactive, where the man cannot enter. And the technician can take the glasses and are able to see at 360 what happened in the containment. And he can hear also the sound of if there is some leak inside the area, they can hear it. So, and we can bring on top of that augmented reality on the glasses with a digital assistant which allow to communicate with the cloud and to be able to have some technical information, for example, some sensors around temperature, about pressures, and so on, directly on the glasses. And for that, we are using a lot of startups. For example, for the video analytics, we are working with two companies, one in Finland, which is in Finway, and we did something with Intel and Telia this week with them in our Oulu factory. We have Evitech also, which are providing this video analytics. We are working with a small, very performant startup that we detect, which is Spectral for the augmented reality. So we have a lot of examples, and all these things that I mentioned in the use case, I described the full use case. It's a lot of application, and also for security, we have a startup which are working on the blockchain in order to be able to secure also the communication with the robots.
Yeah, I can confirm what you're saying. What we see when we talk to startups in the domain is always also a asset-light approach, very algorithm-focused approach. Machine learning is a very strong field where you have a lot of young talents from universities, really strong programming skills, bringing that to action into the factory context. And that is very interesting. But of course, it is a big leap from having an algorithm and having a concept to be implemented in a big factory, and then really understanding the processes in place and making that connection again. That's where we meet the difficulties of big organizations again.
We just built something in Munich called Smart Factory as a Service, and it's a partnership between KUKA, MHP as a systems integrator, and then very interesting, obviously, with 5G technology, and then very interestingly enough, you've got Munich Re. So you have an insurance company, a reinsurer, handling the finance and the basically the risk angle of the whole thing. And so now in this Smart Factory as a Service, it's like a lab as a service. We're going to start experimenting with all kinds of startups on layers and every single element of that value chain. So that should be interesting.
Can we think that basically Industry 4.0 will force the entire automotive ecosystem to work, integrate other players, making the global functioning of the system more complicated than in the past? Are we going to something more efficient, agile, whatever you want, but more complex?
Now I'm going to disagree, because actually it is supposed to make it less complex, more transparent, and it should help you and make it less complex for you. What we will see, and I agree with that, you will see more players into it. If you have the complete horizontal and vertical connectivity across all your supply chain in a connected industry setting, then yes, you will have all these players. So you have the OEMs, the tier ones, and the sub-suppliers all connected. That will happen. yes, but hopefully it will mean less complexity.
Hopefully, yes, I agree. But also, I disagree because I think the complexity will be much more, and we haven't really found the the golden nugget, the skeleton key to unlock how to make it less complex. Because I'm a big believer in cross-industry partnerships and also vertical integration, and that will be the future, because otherwise we will not stand a chance against everything that is coming obviously from the Silicon Valley, everything that is coming from China, where things are moving so fast now that we really have to partner up with our previous competitors, with our previous suppliers downstream, upstream, to still be relevant in the future. However, I don't see yet how we make that less complex, because in the first first couple of years now, it's going to be much more complex. And I'm really looking for a solution to that problem.
Life will be better in 5 years' time with
Isn't that always the
with that. We are reaching the end of this interview. I just wanted to have a perspective vision from each of you. What is for you the next big point of attention, or the next big thing you're looking at coming from in the industry 4.0? Let's make a bet, and don't say me something that's going to be presented in this context after this, because we know it's true.
Okay, I'll go first. I got the mic in hand already. So for me, it will be the combination of what we see right now in terms of Industry 4.0. So everything, it's a phrase that's said too often already, but everything will be connected also in the factory. With 5G, it will be, the enabling technology for IIoT. And I think what will be the next big thing then is kind of what you described already, your pilots there, where you take the information from the factory and calculate it and bring the analytics back to the factory. I think the next big thing will be doing that live, applying machine learning to factories that will self-automatize in real time. So whenever you produce something, you will optimize as you go, and it will be highly efficient due to that.
Tanya, make your bet.
I'm going to let the experts talk about that. I just came back from Munich, where I heard a very different, interesting person, Albert Wenger from Union Square Ventures. Because what I'm going to find fascinating, I deal more with autonomous, and I love the fact I'm looking forward to autonomous cars and flying cars and all that kind of stuff. Not that manufacturing isn't going to be extremely fascinating, but what I think is going to be really interesting, and that's what he brought up, is what happens to all the human skilled or not so skilled workforce once we have a lot more of these super fancy automated factories. What's the next big thing for society? So just to take it completely off from a different angle, that's something I'm fascinated about
This could be the conclusion of this roundtable to me.
Yes.
Gilbert?
Nothing to say more. It's only this point of the flexibility and agility, what we can do with that. Today, the legacy manufacturing was more based on, I think, something with monoproductions and so on. And we think that now with the innovation that we can bring with the new technology, we will have the ability to reinvent a little bit the manufacturing. Perhaps less wire, less kilometer of wires in the production of cars, and more flexibility. And also, today you have only, the robots are more dedicated to less complex tasks and repetitiveness tasks. And now we think, thanks to the 5G and the possibility to have the intelligence of the robots, using machine learning and intelligence artificial in the edge cloud, we will have the possibility to control the robot differently at each hours of the process in the day. So you can imagine perhaps new processes, more flexible, more perhaps we can consider it as more complex, but at the end with more quality.
Good. Gitte, the word of the end?
Yes, we are beyond, I think, already. So I'm fully with Niels on that one. And what Gilbert said, definitely the only thing to add, not just better quality, more variety, more personalized goods. I guess that will, what Industry 4.0 can bring us.
I have to thank you all for this time and energizing conversation, and I hope you're going to be surprised and by this amazing presentation. Thank you all.
Ladies and gentlemen, hands together for Gita, Niels, Tanya, Gilbert, and Guillaume. Thank you so much. Right, so ladies and gentlemen, we are about to begin now our next, the 4th Startup Awards competition. Here's how it goes. Here's what's been happening over the last couple of days. Yesterday, each day is split into 2. So literally, literally across the week, we have 8 themes, okay? 8 themes. Different themes, and each morning and afternoon we have one of those themes. Each one of those themes has a startup pitching competition, which is where 8 of our 64 startups, all on my right over there in the labyrinth, they're all there with their booths, all looking for conversations, all looking for help and advice as well to move forward. 8 startups stand on this stage here and they pitch their big idea. They pitch their big idea to a set of jury members. They share that idea as well to you, audience members as well. And at the end of the session, we then find out who is actually going to run away winner of each session. So basically, we have a competition with 8 big ideas, and we're going to listen to all those ideas right now on this stage. But before I do that, we certainly need to know who are the people who are going to decide who the winners actually are. So I'm now going to invite one by one the jury members who are going to sit here on stage and evaluate what they hear on stage. So first of all, please welcome to the stage President of France Nokia, Mr. Thierry Boinon. Thierry, come and join us. Please take a seat. We also have VP of Robert Bosch Venture Capital, Geet Bedford, who is on the panel just before us. So you join us, come back. That's right. More clapping for Geet. She likes the claps, I can see. We also have a gentleman we've just seen as well, Head of Customer Experience Strategy and Innovation at Volkswagen, Dr. Niels Husker. He's back. That's right, he's back on stage. Can't keep away. We also have another lady again who was on stage just a little bit earlier, partner at MHP and co-founder at Dynamics, Tanya Kufner. Tanya, please join us once again. Also, gentlemen, we saw yesterday from Fidal Paris, we've got Mr. François Varcollier. François, welcome back. And also another gentleman we've already seen on stage from Fresia, Fabrice Gauthier. Fabrice, come and join us. So literally, essentially, 6 experts who hear ideas constantly, who know what they're looking for as well. But will the startups be able to charm the jury members? Will the startups be able to share their ideas in the right way as well? Help them. You can help them decide as well, perhaps. Remember our hashtag Mondial Tech, hashtag Mondial Tech. Your opinion, what you think, pop it on social media, things that you like, specific startups that that maybe caught your eye, share them out on social media as well. So here's the thing. Here's the drill. This is how it works. Startup comes on stage, pitches, shares their big idea for 3 minutes, okay? No more than 3 minutes. After 3 minutes, you'll hear a gong, a very, very clear gong, which is a signal to say, stop, that's it. Then we dig a little bit deeper. This is where the jury members dig a little bit deeper underneath the bonnet and really find out through their questions what really makes the startup tick and ask the questions that maybe no one else dares to ask. We'll see. Okay, I think it's time now to invite the first startup here on stage. Again, many of the startups, many of them have pitched to many different audiences, maybe just like this one or even bigger. Maybe some of them haven't. So I'm sure every single startup will appreciate your applause and your support for them as well. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the first startup of the afternoon, which is a startup very simply called Compredict.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Stéphane Foulard. I'm one of the co-founder and executive director of Compredict. Compredict is a German startup founded in 2016 by 3 automotive engineers and already pushed by a seed investment right in 2017. We are currently employing 15 awesome people working on developing a software suite solution, which is called the Compredict Suite, which is proposed to car manufacturers and suppliers. With the Compredict Suite, we want to address one of the most crucial issues in the automotive field, which is that car manufacturers and also suppliers do not know when and why components fail in series production vehicle. This is meaning that there is a big potential for engineering and resource optimization and also for proposing individual and predictive maintenance. The Compredict Suite relies on several aspects. The first one are some in-car software. Those are more or less a piece of software running directly in the vehicle with no need for additional sensor or hardware. And we are generating with those algorithms physical quantity which enable us to make an assessment about the current state of the components and also of the usage profiles. Then we are enhancing these data which are generated in the car with some metadata, which can be information about the weather, about the production, or about material or some occult failures. And we are then gathering all this information on our AI core, where we have implemented some of our patent pending data analytics tools for example, predicting failure probability of component, identifying some optimization potential for the dimensioning or the operating strategy of the components, and also proposing some maintenance plans for drivers and customers. The last part is the analytics user interface, which is proposed to 2 sorts of groups of users. On one side, the engineers, in order to digitalize the engineering process, and on the other side, for end customers and drivers in order to enhance the driver experience. Our business model is based on a license model or a pay-as-you-use model, depending on what you are taking in our Compredict Suite. We are also making some custom development and integration for our customers, and we are moving in a market which is 15 billion euro big, according to some studies from McKinsey. At the moment, we are preparing the first series introduction with 2 customers, but are looking for new partnerships and new projects. So please connect. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Compredict. Just in time as well. Good, very good timing indeed. Right, let's hear from the jury how they feel about what they've just heard.
So, who are your customers first on that?
Where or who? We are working directly with automotive manufacturers and suppliers worldwide at the moment. So the startup is German. So we are actually working with German manufacturers, but also in Europe, not in France at the moment, but also in Asia. So we are directly working with them on these topics.
Can you give us an example?
Of manufacturers?
Yes.
Yeah, the problem is, the automotive industry
is
so relying on
Those
NDAs.
nasty NDAs.
I can only say that we were part of the startup Autobahn, which is an accelerator in Germany, and we were working with Porsche on the project.
Okay.
What makes your solution unique on the market?
The point is, we take the problem from the other side. We don't want to propose any add-on solution, and one of our focus is to only use what is already available in the car. The point is, you have a lot of signal, a lot of sensors in the series production vehicle, but you don't get the information you need to assess about the state of the components. So our proposal is to say we are only proposing a software-based approach, meaning no hardware, no sensors, and we develop for those sensor fusion algorithms, so these in-car softwares, which are replacing development sensors which are not available anymore in the car, and giving us the good information about the state of the components.
Stefan, first of all, thank you for your pitch. My question is, how do you get this data out of the car then? I mean, I understand you don't need any new sensors, but how do you access the data?
Yeah, this is the point. I was saying we don't want to have an add-on solution. This is why we're working directly with the manufacturers. The idea is to be implemented in the car. So meaning when the car is running out from the production, our algorithm is already on the control units. And so this is like a piece of software. We are already doing this with some of our customers. This is running in development cars. The idea is also to use, for example, the SIM cards available in the car. For example, in Europe, this is mandatory nowadays to have a possibility to make some emergency call. So we can also use this communication to send the data. But one important point is also we are not streaming any time signals. We are originally mechatronic guys. So we think we have to understand the system and generate only the information which is required, so that we are aggregating the data right in the vehicle and only sending them. So this is a few kilobytes at the end for a car. So manageable on the server as well.
So,
boom, that's it. There we are. Time's up. Ladies and gentlemen, hands together for Compredict. Thank you so much. Right, so there we are. That's pretty much how it runs. Very simple, 3 minutes. 3 minutes questions from the jury members. Boom, and then we carry on to the next one. Let's move on now to the second startup of this session. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage. Startup very simply called Imagine Intelligent Materials.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm Jaakko from Imagine. We have developed a method to create smart sensing surfaces out of materials by coating them with graphene. So the material becomes conductive, and you can use it as a large-scale IoT sensor or as a human-to-machine interface. Our target markets are mining, mobility, smart cities, and smart resources. We can sense structural changes in buildings or constructions or bridges in real time, or we can sense leakages in the mines in real time, providing information before bad things can happen. In the automotive industry, we can create human-to-machine interface by making different textiles into the vehicle as a touch sensor, so that you can operate the vehicle with or windows or the seat, move the seat with the touch of your touch of the textile. All of these markets are large and growing, so we're tapping into large markets. We have proof of concept projects ongoing with several customers, looking at flooring techniques, how do you sense people movements on the floors at retail or at workplaces, sensing leakages from the roofs, so we can locate the leakage fairly accurately. We have a product selling in the mining industry, which is this one. It's a geotextile that we can locate holes in the tailing dams while you do the installation. We're moving into strain sensing and leak sensing in the real time. We have developed a seat project with Daimler this summer. We have a seat back there in our booth where you can control the seat by swiping a textile. You can do basically any surface in the vehicle to make it into a touch type of sensor, or you could apply the flooring technique what we had in a logistics to sense movements in the cargo space, for example. I'll stop. So what we've done, we have created a manufacturing technology, patented a technology to manufacture graphene, do coatings. Now we are doing hardware development, software development, which we are seeking for funding. Our business model is based on licensing and software as a service. Team has versatile background. We have signals processing engineering in Finland, and we have material science in Australia. Our CEO, Chris Kilpie, is a serial entrepreneur, have done a couple of successful exits. So our vision really is to enable, through graphene, make every surface conductive and thus be able to communicate. And we have a large-scale manufacturing capability, can produce in scale, and create solutions for industries which are not currently served with the techniques because they are not cost-efficient enough. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, hands together for Imagine Intelligent Materials.
Yeah, all right.
Right, okay, let's hear from our jury members about what we've just heard.
Thank you very much. Very interesting. And question that came up to me is, who are usually your competitors that you face when you are going, for instance, to the car manufacturers or some of the other examples you gave? Is it other technologies? Is it other startups or corporates using same technology?
They're mostly other technologies, so you can have discrete sensors doing similar thing. I think where we really have a competitive advantage is in the large-scale sensing, because this is a very cost-efficient way of creating a large-scale sensor. The cost per square is about $1, and you can read the signals from the edge. So, yeah, that's the main advantage what we have. Certainly then other technologies do some things better, but we feel that especially in the large scale, and there we have a competitive edge. In the car industry, you can also use this as a pressure sensor, so you can combine different sensors, like in a seat, for instance, and you can create seat heating as well. So.
Hi, thank you very much. Were you able to patent your design and the material and what you did with it?
We have patented the manufacturing technology, the coating technology, and we have a bunch of trade secrets which we haven't patented. And I think the real key is then in the signals processing as well, and then you interpreting creating the algorithms to interpret the signals.
How's your price point looking compared to discrete sensors?
Like I said, the per square price point for this material as we currently speak is very low, about $1. However, we are nowhere near in the production volumes where we foresee this to be. We are selling hundreds of thousands of square meters this material as today, but it's nowhere near where it will go. So very cost competitive, especially in the large scale.
And are you producing end-to-end?
We are producing the graphene coating. We have partners who do the coating per se. We are creating the software ourselves and then the analytics to interpret the signals. Materials are third party.
How have you been funded to date?
We have sort of seed funding. We are roughly 4 years old. We've done some crowdfunding round actually this year in Finland when we established our entity in Finland, but we are continuously seeking for further funding.
Because what I find a little bit interesting is you're doing mining, mobility, and all these different verticals, and I'm not 100% sure if you found your product market fit, or because it looks like you're still experimenting in different verticals, and I'm wondering which one will pay off the most, or if there are other use cases.
It's a platform technology, so you can use the same technology for different markets. But yes, it's based on the feedback from the customers, which market actually takes first.
There we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Imagine Intelligent Materials. Thank you so much. Okay, let's swiftly move on to our next startup here on stage, ready to share their big idea. Right, so ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage a startup very simply called Arculus.
Thank you. The customer can get any color they want as long as it's black. Those were Henry Ford's words. We all know this guy, brilliant guy. The man molded the industry of his time to his vision. He introduced the assembly line into the automotive industry 100 years ago. And he did so as to produce a standardized product in a cost-efficient way. But products are not standard anymore. They are customizable. There are so many variants that not 2 of all the cars produced per year are alike. BMW stated that last year, and Audi, for example, is counting the variants for their A3 model in roughly 40 digits. The problem with manufacturing is that we're throwing all of these products into a system which was tailor-made for a standardized product. This causes a lot of problems and a lot of line stoppage, which roughly costs 25,000 euros a minute in the automotive industry. Last year, one of the major car manufacturers lost over 400 million euros just because they stopped one line for 1 week. So, after 100 years forward, what's next? We call it modular production. It is an integrated logistics and production system which enables mass customization. We take the exact same amount of stations that are on the line, the exact same amount of workers, and we separate them. We make them independent. We transport both products and materials on top of autonomous guided vehicles, which gives the system way more flexibility. The underlying rule of how this works is what we call the assembly priority chart. So it is a tree of interdependencies that connects all the processes needed to finish any product, and you can see in real time which processes have been already done, which ones would be possible as a next step, and which ones are still not possible. If you compare modular production to an assembly line, you get a tremendous boost in efficiency. You use lower area, the costs go down tremendously, you're way more flexible, way more efficient, and you have zero downtime. The way that we commercialize this is on one side, from the software, we build different modules. So it's the algorithm that is optimizing production, the one that optimizes logistics. In the middleware, we have the fleet manager, which is the point of contact between the software and the real world. And of course, we developed as well our own AGV, safe, smart, and compact. We have a terrific track record. We started 2.5 years ago. We are right now 24 strong. We have been profitable since year one. We're 100% bootstrapped, and we are deploying right now 100 of our own robots in Audi's factory in Ingolstadt. We are, of course, looking for new customers. We're looking for strategic partners. So if anyone is interested, we're at booth L57. I'll be happy to talk with you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, hands together for Arculus. Bang, right on time as well. Right. What did our jury members feel about Arculus? Let's hear.
How do you sell your solution? It's a combination of hardware and software. Do you have any leasing plan for the AGVs? All these business case questions.
So right now, today, we've been doing small projects and we've been developing small modules, software modules that are 100% customizable or customized for our clients. The idea is that we're going to move to a software as a service model. We're now partnering with SAP to integrate our solution to their ecosystem so that we can actually deploy our software in several customers. On the hardware side, right now we're selling per unit, but eventually we would like to move into a robot as a service as well, so it's charging per pick, for example, in an automated warehouse.
Why this choice of combining the AGV, selling the AGV and the software, as we can find on the market so many kind of AGVs?
Good question. Our initial idea was that we were going to develop what we called a brain or a black box, so that we could plug and play into any AGV on the market and make it connectable to our software. That in turn was like a lot of work. We dedicated a lot of resources to that, and eventually we said, okay, we can, with what we learned, we actually can develop our own robot. And we had one of our customers that had very specific requirements and were not able to find something on the market, so we developed it for that application, and now we're selling it basically.
What is the size of the company?
Right now we're 24.
And in terms of revenue?
Well, we've been profitable since year one. We had some projects with Audi. We're now working with Porsche and Siemens, and we've already hit for this year our goal, our revenue. And for the last 2 months, it will go up, of course. I am not able to disclose how much exactly, but.
But For me, the question would be, what are the indications that you're actually able to change your business model to a more sustainable one? Because at the moment you're only charging for the hardware, moving then to a service-orientated. What are your customers telling you?
Well, the initial implementations that we did were very specific. The projects that we're working on right now are more broad, so a whole factory or a whole sub-assembly or a whole automated warehouse. And in that case, it makes more sense to do service, software as a service because of the amount of applications that they're going to be using.
There we have it, ladies and gentlemen, hands together for Arculus. Thank you so much. Well done. Right, we move on. We move on to our next startup. As after each startup, what happens is jury members, they look at their evaluation sheets, pop down exactly how they feel, not giving much away at all, poker-faced throughout. But we'll find out a little bit later on who actually the winner is. Do we have a winner already? Maybe we do, perhaps we don't. Again, let's hear what you feel and what you think. Again, use our hashtag Mondial Tech, hashtag Mondial Tech, and let us know what you feel about what you hear here on stage. Right, let's move on to the next startup in this session. A startup very simply called Scortex.
Hi, my name is Émeric de Pontbriand. I'm co-founder and CEO of Scortex. Our mission at Scortex is to help manufacturing companies manage and improve the quality of their production. There are 3 pillars in manufacturing: cost, quality, and delays. We chose to focus on quality, and quality will impact 15 to 20% of sales revenue for a lot of manufacturing companies. And when you enter a factory, you still see a lot of visual inspection, mainly done manually. So to be able to do that, we developed what we call the quality intelligence solution with 3 main pillars. The first one is being able to automate those visual inspection tasks. To be able to do that, we've developed our own deep learning algorithm that allows us to address complex visual inspection that are right now done manually. The second aspect is by automating those tasks, we are actually extracting valuable data about the quality and the production, and being able to monitor those data in real time. And using this data, we're able to provide insights on how to improve the production to our customers. So basically, how the flow of our product is, A, capture the sensors right on the production line, mainly images of the products. B, being able to analyze in real time the images and understand where are the defects on the product. And then take a decision based on this analysis and on the quality specification to be able then to trigger action, whether it's an action on the shop floor or an action to trigger that to the quality expert, or as a business action, being able to share that information all across the organization. So our solution has 2 main components. The first one is a software. This is where we, starting from the quality specification, we're going to be building the application dedicated to the inspection of your product. Then we deploy this application right on the production line thanks to the hardware components. This allows us to closely integrate on the production line, communicating with sensors, human-machine interface, and actually all the production line network and software. Right now, we mainly target the automotive industry and also consumer goods. We actually mostly focus on process. Right now, we master 3 processes: inspection of injection plastic part, painted part, and casted and forged metal. So, as I said, right now, the impact of our solution is in threefold. The first one is by automating the visual task, you're reducing the cost of inspection. By providing a solution that learns over time, you're actually learning about your quality and being able to improve it over time. And we provide a real-time inspection, so being able to trigger directly action on quality and how to improve and the impact of your entire organization.
Boom, time's up, I'm afraid. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Scortex. Right, let's hear from our jury members.
Thank you very much. Actually, I would like to hear a little bit about your team, your size, composition.
Sure. We are a team of 25 right now, founded 2 years ago, and 4 co-founders, and backed by top European investors.
That answers my question because Notion Capital, I'm a big fan. What is your competitive advantage? Because you're not the only one I've seen out there in the market doing this.
Sure. There are two folds. First, we've got a deep focus on visual inspection and understanding what the quality. Our goal is to help customers reduce their cost of quality. So we've really focused on understanding what is quality and build the AI algorithm that really solve that visual inspection problem. The second aspect is building the algorithm is great, but now you have to deploy it in the industrial environments. And this is why we have this combination of software and hardware that allows us to integrate in the industrial environment, which is pretty challenging.
What's your business model? How do you sell?
So it depends on the customer. It could be licensing over several years of our solution, and we'll do also inspection as a service. So it's a recurrent model. You pay for the entire solution, software and hardware every year per inspection point.
Okay.
So visual is this is the only sensor you have. So cameras and that's it. You don't.
Right now, yeah, we focus on automating visual inspection, but for us, it's easy to integrate other sensors. Right now, we see great opportunity in just visual inspection.
And how do you train your model? Is that customer specific, or can you take learnings from one machine learning model to the next customer as well?
So there's a little bit of trade secret there, but there is some generic model that we have, and then there is some train specific for your model. The entire pipeline of machine learning is exactly the same for each customers, and then we have modules for each specific task.
Could you share with us a little bit the stage where your company is at? So where are you with your customers? Sure. Still POC, well beyond?
Yeah, sure. Right now we have 4 customers. We focus solely on automotive suppliers, tier 1, tier 2 in France and Germany.
And where do you stand with them? Is it still the POC stage, or
2 of them are still in POC, and then 2 of them are moving to production.
ready to production? And there you were saying the licensing model, right? So these 2 are already paying regular licenses.
Yeah, right. We're moving. It's about to happen. Yeah.
I see. Thank you.
Thank you.
5 seconds to do nothing at all. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Scoretex. Well done. Well done. Right, there we have it. So moving steadily through different ideas, different big ideas here on stage. If you've just joined us, just to remind you, we are in the middle of the startup pitching competition on the theme of Industry 4.0. 8 startups with 8 big ideas, sharing their ideas to a selection of jury members, and at the end of it, they will choose who is going to run away as the winner of this session. Right, we move on. Next startup, ready and waiting. Please welcome to the stage our next startup, very simply called CodePan.
This is a problem I know everybody here has. This explosion of data has been a direct result of big data adoption fascination at every board level. It's a strategy that's supposed to help you make smarter and faster decisions. But are we really taking the most out of the data that we're now collecting? More importantly, what critical signs are we now missing in the data that we're not even looking at? I don't have to tell people in this room specifically the critical damage that oversights or missing information in your data set could result into your business. Simply throwing a small team of data scientists at this problem on their own will not solve the problem. Today, we see this across every stage of the manufacturing process. We are using rudimentary approaches to look at this data. We are looking at simple statistical methods or threshold-based analysis, and it's a human being that can no longer deal with this large amounts of complex data. This is proven by the fact that enterprise workers are now spending a quarter of their time simply analyzing data. Just think about that. Your experienced, expensive domain expert is wasting 3 months a year simply analyzing data rather than inferring something from that data. So what's our solution to this new data paradigm that we live in? Stream AI. We harness unsupervised machine learning algorithms to effectively do 2 things. Firstly, reduce the time it takes to do daily data inspection and to do it on the entirety of your data set. And 2, reduce the time it takes from realizing you have a problem in your data, to establishing exactly where and when the problem had arisen, to then help your domain experts reduce the time to do root cause analysis. Think of it as an AI assistant to anyone working with time series data. We plug any time series data, whether it's coming from sensors or from sales data, and we put it through our proprietary benchmarking and scoring algorithm. What this does is it looks at that data set and establishes what is the best algorithm or combination of algorithms or calibration of algorithms are for the specifics of that data set. So this is an automated way of building, if you like, a customized anomaly detection solution for your business. Our unique selling point is precisely that. It's that core of our technology, the ability to be able to use multiple algorithms, because one algorithm doesn't solve every problem. By design, we are intending to be general because companies would like to have a simple vendor that can work across multiple divisions within their business. I won't spend too much time on the market, but it's large because we are generalized. We currently pay, we have a SaaS business model for our first client who's moved to a monthly recurring revenue. We start with pilot projects. We've proven our technology with 3 different companies, Webasto, Daimler, another car manufacturer. I have a nice video to show you what Webasto does.
We must guarantee excellent quality and a high performance.
We're going to have to stop you right there, I'm afraid.
I thought I'd be cheeky and try to get an extra couple of seconds.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for CodePan. Right, let's move forward and let's hear what the jury feel about what they just heard.
Thank you very much. When you deal with a business, so
Yes.
do you implement, so do you put your tool locally in their premises? So how do they function? Do they send the data? Do you collect the data? Do you go there on site?
It really depends on the company. We start with something small with a pilot to prove our validity of our technology. So we start with historic data usually, where they have anomalies, where we can prove that we can actually find these anomalies. Once we move to that stage, we work towards an implementation. We're moving to implementation with Webasto, who have their own private cloud solution. So we'll deploy our technology within that solution to give them the information that they need. It will depend. We would look for implementation partners if we need to do an on-premise solution as well.
So you have a very broad approach to market. How do you differentiate from, you know, 5 internal data scientists within the company, just, you know, applying machine learning to?
So you can see the team, which I can go back, is actually quite an eclectic group of data scientists coming from neural networks, PhD in neuroscience, PhD in molecular mathematics. They all have a focus on anomaly detection. So they work on the core brain, if you like, but then they all have a specific client that they work with to help calibrate the tool to their particular use case. As we scale, we've automated as many of these processes as we can.
So can I summarize that with data science as a service, what you do then?
Absolutely. Well, so yes, initially, and I think we get this all the time, data science as a service, but the product actually can be used across different business units. So the data science as a service is the first part, but once they've purchased the product and use the product daily, it becomes a monthly recurring revenue model to move towards scalability.
Okay, so essentially you train a neural network for their anomaly analysis for them, and once you've trained it, you license it to them?
So we automatically screen and rank which are the best algorithms for them to use. Once we've established that, we then give them that information to utilize on an ongoing basis. So it's the selection of the right algorithm that happens automatically, which is really interesting because your data set is always changing. Having a model and you change a sensor, you change new information in there, you need to have that running automatically for you. So that's what we do. We enable them to scale their current data science approach that they have.
My colleagues always keep telling me that 80% of the workload in data science is actually cleaning and preparation of data. Do you have a solution for that?
We do some pre-processing for sure. We tend to work with any time series data, so if there isn't any labeling, we do have a solution for that. It does depend on the case, ultimately, on how complex the data set is.
What's your biggest challenge right now?
What's your biggest challenge? We'll never know. We'll never know.
Time.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for CodePan. Thank you so much. Right, actually, what is your biggest challenge? Don't answer it now, but I'm sure later on you can ask the same question and get the answer from CodePan. And again, anybody else who'd who's curious about what they've just heard on stage, about any of the 8 startups. In fact, the 64 startups that we have here throughout the week are all on my right over there in the labyrinth. So you have a chance at any stage during today or tomorrow or the end of the week as well to have a chat with them, grab a coffee and ask as many questions as you wish. We move on now to the next startup in this startup competition, a startup very simply called EverTracker.
Hi everyone, my name is Mark. I'm the CEO and co-founder of EverTracker. We redefine supply chains and logistics, and of course we also work with machine learning. Why are we doing this? We mainly focus on manufacturers that either wait for parts or they need to deliver products to their customers, and in both cases they are highly dependent on service providers. And at the same time, they want to double their production to sell more products much faster. They won't need to free working capital, intrinsic working warehouse, and they need to save costs. We help them with them by identifying bottlenecks. We are not identifying them, we are providing a platform. They are able to identify bottlenecks along the supply chain. They can speed up processes, so move parts faster through the supply chain. And we can provide full accountability over every step along the entire supply chain, over logistics and supply chain. How are we doing this? We became experts in pattern recognition, everything that is related to movement of goods. So we know how parts flow, and we know how long they take if they flow through a system. So we know that it takes 4 months from the first touch of the part to the car, for example. How this works, we built a neutral platform based on machine learning. We're attaching all kinds of different data sets. It can be RFID or barcode scans, telematic systems from trucks, or we are a partner of Bosch, for example, in providing their sensors to our customers, and they are selling our solutions to their customers. So we learn processes, how long does it take? This helps customers to understand how it actually something flows through the system. We automate processes like picking and packing, dispatching, or accounting within the company. And we provide predictive analytics based on our historical data and real-time information. We see deviations, we see delays, and we can provide ETAs. We have a real product. So this is our front end. We mainly work on the back end technology. So we're providing APIs to provide the results into existing TMS and CSM systems, but customers can use also our solution if necessary. We have a lot of great customers. Not all of them are recurrent customers. We have a lot of pilot customers, but we have around 170,000 euros recurrent revenue since many years already from real customers and deploying our solution within the manufacturing industry right now. So we achieved some great things with our customers, especially we made happy truckers. We have great partners and we are supported by the best.
Boom, there we are, right.
Yes,
I know, yeah, 3 minutes goes very quickly indeed.
Goes
Put your
very
hands
quick.
Together for EverTracker. We have to be fair and square with absolutely everybody.
No, that's fine.
Okay, let's hear from our jury members how they feel about what they've just heard.
One question. It is supply chain, so it means a network of several different companies, transporters, supplier, tier 1, tier 2. Your solution relies on getting infos from those different parties. How do you make this happen?
There are different ways of doing it depending on the customer. So we focus on specific use cases where we have either already access to. So we have customers that are working themselves on gathering the data into their system, and we're putting our solution on top of that. We have a lot of technology partners like Bosch where we can provide their sensors to our customers, and we integrate our solutions with a lot of telematic system service providers. We cannot get always the full supply chain, but companies are working on this to get the entire process flow from the supply to the customer. We are at the beginning, but I think we are very well off in terms of this. We're at a good starting point.
How does your business model look like when you talk of recurring revenues?
So we have we are selling a SaaS solution to customers, and we are upselling certain features. Like if we automate accounting and invoicing, we can sell this as an additional feature. So we have two different revenue streams, and we are selling the solution actually to the manufacturers, but the LSPs are using also our solution to provide an additional service. So we are not only depending on the manufacturer, we're currently scaling the solution more through the LSPs that are obliged to use our solution and selling it to other customers now, because they see the benefit as well.
Okay. Can you elaborate on your team as well?
Yes, we have. This is the founding team. I'm the supply chain logistics expert, Peter's data and location expert, and Vlad is our CTO. And we have two more developers and two more people that do basically everything that is needed in the company to keep it running. So we are 7 in total, plus 2, 3 part-time every now and then.
How long and complicated is your sales cycle?
It was very complicated. So we started in 2014. We went through basically two and a half pivots, and we finally found our perfect market fit. And we found this especially scaling through accounting and invoicing, bringing in direct value to the customers, like the automotive companies, that everything is highly accountable in real time and not cheatable on. This is helping us to scale. So the sales cycle is getting close.
15 seconds, quick question from anyone?
Yeah. Biggest pain point? What do you need?
We need money, so we are currently raising funds. We are in the funding round, and we need some more strong partners and customers.
Oh, in there, right. Ladies and gentlemen, hands together for EverTracker. Thank you so much. Right, we have already heard 6 different ideas on this stage. We're about to hear another 2. 2 more startups sharing their idea. Right, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, our next startup ready to hit the stage and charm our jury members is a startup called Ermeo.
Hello everyone, I'm Jeffrey from Ermeo, and we are a SaaS startup and we build a connected worker platform. So today, I'm sorry, I have an issue with the screen. Yeah, so obviously Industry 4.0 is moving fast, and so you see many projects focusing on AI, IoT, big data, and so on, but one vital component of industrial companies has been forgotten, and we're talking about field workers, people in maintenance, in manufacturing, who run your plants day and night. And when you look at the way the field workers execute their jobs today, so you'll see that they're still stuck with the paper-based procedures, work instructions to execute the job. So they spend a lot of time preparing their interventions, manually filling reports, manually updating data in different information systems. And on top of that, they don't have access to information when they need it, the most which is on the shop floor in real time. And so at the end of the day, they lose a lot of time to run their interventions. And when a production line is stopped, it means wasted production capacity. The field data collected in information system is corrupted because it's updated manually, so it's victim of manual errors. And managers lack real-time visibility on their operations because real-time work execution is based on paper, basically. So we think that it's really about time that Industry 4.0 actually helps field workers improve their operational excellence. And that's why we build a connected worker platform. So basically the field worker is connected on a mobile device to interactive work instructions that guide them step by step. He's connected to his information systems, which means real-time access to information. And he's connected to his team so he can collaborate and solve issues without leaving the shop floor. So at the end of the day, he works safer, better, faster, which means improved production capacity. The data updated in information system, the data quality is improved because it's updated automatically from the field. And managers have real-time visibility because all their operations are digitalized. So they can see, oversee, analyze, and improve. And we deliver value in 9 weeks. So today we address a TAM of 15 billion euros. The past 18 months we started to work with 30 new customers. We have more than 40 customers total. And finally, so right now with 35 companies, we raised 2.5 million euro seed this year, and we're backed by Partech and High Enough, and are part of different corporate programs. Currently, it's Shell. So what we need is quite simple meetings with your teams, maintenance, manufacturing, digital transformation, innovation. Let's have a chat about Operational Excellence 4.0. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the mayor. Right on time. Okay, once again, let's hear from our jury members regarding how they feel about what you have just been sharing.
Okay, thank you very much. Although I had difficulties relating to the first part of your presentation, I don't think our guys use paper anymore. But towards the end, you mentioned, was it more than 30 customers you already have?
Yes,
so
currently.
I would like to better understand who your customers are.
So we have 30 enterprise companies working with us. We just started with Renault, for instance. We work with many companies in energy, in transportation, like SNCF, Total, big construction groups like FH, Bouygues. And even if they have the work instructions on a tablet, it's still a PDF, and it's not connected with the Teams, it's not connected with our information systems. So even though it's not paper, if it's a PDF, they still have the same issues, which is lack of real-time information, lack of connection. They're not efficient.
Okay, another question from our jury members.
How will you scale?
In terms of?
Number of customers, geographic coverage.
So right now we focus on France. So we plan to raise a Series A by mid next year to start our international expansion, starting in Germany probably. So right now we have 100% focus on France, and our goal is to triple our revenue in the next 12 months.
When in the field, sometimes connection is bad. So how do you connect to which network, and how do you guarantee that
Sure.
we have access to the data?
So many of our customers have this problem. And so basically you don't need a Wi-Fi connection or internet connection to be able to give access to the field worker to the solution, because everything is downloaded locally. And as soon as he finds a connection, there's an automatic synchronization that happens. So for him, it's completely transparent if he has internet or not.
What's the feedback from your customers in terms of workflow, working with an app while they are in the field?
It's about managing and changing behaviors. And what we see is that you actually need two things for a non-digital native field worker to move from paper to an app. Number one, it needs to be easy to use. And number two, it needs to answer a real pain point. And field workers, they all hate during this admin work of filling reports, of updated data and information systems. So when you tell them you're going to win 2 hours of your work today, which you hate doing, well, obviously they see the value and they adopt it quite easily.
How customized is your solution then for your customers?
5 seconds.
I think it's too late. I'm sorry.
Right, okay, you can answer that a little bit later on. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Mayo. Thank you so much. We are, guess what? We are already on the last startup, number 8 of 8, ready to pitch their idea on the stage right now. Ladies and gentlemen, he's on his way already. Even before he's introduced, he's ready, he's taking the mic. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for HoloMake.
HoloMake. Hello, everyone. I guess you already know augmented reality, but do you use it at work on a daily basis? I guess no, this is our point. So augmented reality solutions proposed today by major players are either to wear on your face or to hold in your hands. Wearables are serious hurdles for the augmented reality adoption in the industry. Augmented reality, so this is our point. Oh, sorry, my slides. So the difficulties of the adoption comes from this wearables device. There is major drawbacks like visual strain due to stereoscopy and security issue in the shop floor when you wear something on your eyes. We target Industry 4.0, and this will see the advent of more cooperation between human and robots. Unlike robots, humans are really multi-skilled and amazingly dexterous and adaptable. The problem we target is about digitalization and the exploitation of the digital work instructions. It's a real pain for industrial who need to improve the reliability and the quality of the operations. And we need to ensure the right transfer of the know-how. Our solution is based on augmented reality device fixed on the existing workbench. The idea is to bring data, digital data, as close as possible to the action by superimpose them over the real environment. Augmented reality is a huge multi-segment market, forecasting an outstanding growth of more than 85% for the next 5 years. And augmented reality is a real topic for which 80% of surveyed industrial in this study said they will have usage of augmented reality in their shop floor on a daily basis in the next 5 years. So this is why we propose today the very first holographic workstation that is fixed to the existing workbench, no wearables and no complex tracking to manage. It's effective and it makes the training or the self-training of new operator easier. Our business model is one of the first augmented reality as a service based on a monthly subscription offer. It includes a customization of our product on the workbench and a direct link to business data to customize the contents of our display. We currently prepare a seed fundraise to strengthen our operational team on ongoing projects and to develop our business on neighbor countries.
Gong, there we are, the gongs. That's it, that's the gong. Ladies and gentlemen, hands together for HoloMake. Right, for the very last time, let's hear from our jury members about what they feel about what they've just heard.
Is there any interactivity with the worker, provided the fact that he may do well or not well?
The worker actually decide the sequence, at what time it displays the different work instructions. The worker himself, through a pedal or through voice, decide how the sequence is displayed on the device. This is only interactive, but there is no control through camera or something like that. It was your question? This is an option, the control.
So mainly it's a hardware solution, right?
Yeah, hardware and software.
But you mentioned that you're operating on a monthly subscription model?
Yes.
Although it is a hardware solution and it's probably customized to each customer?
Yeah.
So what if the customer cancels after 2 months?
Yeah, the first step for us with the industrial is to work on the customization of the device. And after all, we install and integrate the device on the workbench. And if it works, it's okay for the customer. It can still use it. And it doesn't work, it's not adopted, or there is some problem with operator. We just get it back, and there is no problem. There is no device that still remains in somewhere in the shop floor.
Okay, but that's great for your customers, but isn't that a big liability on your end, asset-wise? I mean, if you have 5 customers in a row who will just give your equipment back after you put all the development effort in the customization, it sounds challenging for a startup.
This is a paired device subscription, so we could scale through a multi-device deployed in the shop floor. You see, for each workbench, for each operator, for each training workbench, we can install this kind of device, and it will be the multiplication on the subscription on the hardware part.
I do see the opportunity, but I'm talking about the risk right now that with a monthly subscription model, you have a big liability on your end if the customer cancels the subscription, right?
Ah, yeah.
How do you handle that
They
risk?
cancel. The hardware is not high cost hardware. It's very simple. It's just screen display. There is no high cost on the hardware. So we can just reuse it on another kind of installation. This is a customization of feature. We have some standard device. We just scale it to the workbench.
I'm afraid that's it. It's time's up, ladies and gentlemen. Hands together for HoloMake. Thank you very much. Right, believe it or not, we have come to the end of the startup pitching. That's right, so many, we've had 8 different ideas. Who deserves to win it? Who deserves to win it? We'll find out in about 20 minutes' time. Who would you choose as the winner yourselves? Again, maybe on social media, you can maybe share it out and tell us exactly how you feel about the startups and their ideas as well. Right, what happens now is our jury members, they will be whisked away to a secret location somewhere secret in the hall, and then Thierry Boinon will return in about 20 minutes and give us announce the winner of this startup competition as well. Please, ladies and gentlemen, if you go that way, following Ben on your left-hand side. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for everybody on the jury. Thierry, Guy, Niels, Tanya, Francois, and Fabrice. Thank you so much. They will go off there now. And we will find out, as I say, in just under 20 minutes exactly who is the winner of the Industry 4.0 Startup Pitching Competition. Okay, so in the meantime, what we have right now is a very intriguing interview with 2 people certainly within the industry, and they'll be able to share some more insights for you right now. In fact, please welcome to the stage, first of all, from the EVP France Operations and member of the Executive Committee of Schneider Electric, Christelle Heidemann. Christelle, come and join us. Take a seat. And to conduct the interview conversation with Christelle from Deloitte, Magali Testa, who is arriving right now. She's on her way, absolutely.
So good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for being here, Christelle. We know that Schneider Electric has been recognized as a key active company regarding Industry 4.0. You launched several initiatives in that area when we discussed last week. Could you tell us a little bit more on the initiatives that you launched on Industry 4.0?
So actually, we have 2 paths to talk about Industry 4.0 at Schneider. First and foremost, we are an industrial player, and we have a lot of factories, and we have almost 40 factories in France. So we are equipping our factories to make sure we can leverage all technologies to improve efficiency, to also test some of the solutions that we're actually developing for customers. And that's the second path when we talk about Industry 4.0 at Schneider Electric, is that obviously we provide solutions to customers. Those solutions are actually technologies at the heart of Industry 4.0. As the leader of energy management and automation solutions for players across different markets, but one of our big markets being industries, obviously we deploy this technology and we try to leverage how connectivity and the products that we've been selling for a long time, that sometimes very often sit in factories that most customers don't even know that they sit there. These equipments can be connected, and we are working on providing new solutions to kind of completely leverage and change the way those products can support our customers' operations.
So great. Today, during the day, we understood that many companies leverage Industry 4.0 for different purposes. Actually, is it process automation? Sometimes it's for more quality control. And on additional topics will be related to disruption created by Industry 4.0 and particularly by sales generation, business development, and revenue done through IoT, as we discussed. So.
And it's definitely all of what you just quoted. And I don't think there's one single path. I mean, when we talk about Industry 4.0, there's obviously a lot of technology involved, but the real challenge and the real know-how is to really understand in each industry what are the key processes and where can technology help either indeed improve operations, improve maintenance, improve time before, or improve just maintenance, very simple maintenance operation or very complex maintenance operation. And obviously between a refinery or between an automotive factory or some of our factories, even in our portfolio of factories, we have some factories that are really working on millions of products that need to be delivered and where we have very critical machines where we want to make sure that we control the output and the quality of this machine and that we anticipate failures. So detecting, change of temperature of some part of the factory. So these are really things that we're working on as a provider of solutions for machine providers. At the same time, understanding end-to-end processes is also critical because let's take the example of a refinery. This is where, some maintenance operations, for instance, is not just one machine, it's really a full process and gaining time on really preparing or training operators before a big maintenance operation is as critical as anticipating a failure. So it all depends on understanding the key processes of our customers, understanding the vast portfolio of technologies that are available, and then testing things. And there's not one recipe. And we've worked on our own factories, adopting, eating our own food. So we now have a few factories that we use with customers where we walk them through what was the journey to implement technology. And guess what? The challenge is never technology. The challenge is always how human beings and how organizations implement those technology and having discussion that involve the CIO organization, the operations director, the quality organization, all of that, working obviously with unions because some jobs are completely transformed. This is really what we're going through. So we've actually now developed at Schneider a SWAT team, a small team of players. They go to some of our factories around the world. They analyze the situation over 2 days. So they do a short audit. And then they provide recommendation on what's the best solution given, the output that's expected, the quality situation, the type of jobs that we have, et cetera, et cetera.
And how did you manage, I would say, the collaboration across organizations internally within Schneider? And potentially also with other, I would say, example of new collaboration schemes with startups and so on and so forth. How does it work all together?
So if I take the example of some of our factories, we are first forcing some of our commercial organizations to work with our factory organization. They usually never talk to each other because, operations, factory, supply chain is a well-disciplined organization. Sales is just front office, they talk to customers. And we force them to work together on understanding that actually the head of operation is probably the best test customer for us to understand what's really the driver, and most importantly, what's the roadblock to adoption of some well-thought solutions on paper, let's put it that way. Now, obviously, when we talk about what are the best technical solutions, we need to embrace all kind of potential solutions, including working with partners, working with startups when it comes to developing very fast some applications and also working with customers who have their own ecosystem of partners. So all of that is really a new way for us of working and innovating with customers.
And have you already tracked the business benefits of all these initiatives related to Industry 4.0? What is your, I would say, lessons learned on that?
So I think, depending on what we put behind, but Industry 4.0, or as we call it, Internet of Things or Industrial Internet of Things, we started probably 10 years ago at Schneider Electric. We know that today 45% of our turnover at Schneider Electric is related to Internet of Things. That being said, I mean, every single offer has a very different path. Some of the things we're testing are not working.
So you accept the failure?
We accept, actually. I mean, the faster we fail, the better. Normally, it's difficult for teams who've been working on. That's difficult to recognize that maybe it's not the best path. But at the same time, some other items, and if I look at cybersecurity, for instance, is definitely a topic where we could, I mean, the needs and the demand in the market and the support that customers want to help them, and I'm talking cybersecurity not just at the IT level, but at the OT level, where it comes to, I mean, understanding what really sits in our factories and how protected are we, and we've been for many years, I think, our customers and even us thinking that because our factory are not connected to the outside world at the internet, we're not at risk. Well, guess what? Yes, we are at risk because anybody coming in a factory with a USB key and plugging for any kind of operation maintenance, or old PC, industrial PC with old Windows version. I mean, we've seen some of the attacks. So all of that is really changing very fast, and it's all about do we have the right skills to help our customers on this journey.
Okay, so meaning it's a perfect transition because a challenge around cybersecurity related to the tsunami of data we're going to face with Industry 4.0 is key. Any other challenges that you have on top of cybersecurity today?
Well, I think at Schneider Electric, we're the leader in energy management, and obviously we work a lot with our customers on how do you improve, I mean, energy consumption and then sustainability at the same time. And circular economy, and when we talk about digital transformation, I don't think anybody has an idea about how fast energy consumption is going to come from just the mass amount of data that needs to sit somewhere in a data center, so either in the cloud or at the edge. But this is something that we are working on. Obviously, we're working a lot with some of the big web giants on improving energy efficiency for their data centers, but this is definitely an area on which we're working a lot to make sure that while we are bringing efficiency on one side, we are not kind of over creating some I would say bad behaviors on the other side.
What would be your advice for companies or for people who want to start in Industry 4.0? Based on your experience, what would the people start with?
So I think and especially we work a lot with small industrial players, and I mean here there's a lot, especially in the automotive show, there are a lot of, I would say, big industrial companies, and I'm sure they all have a chief digital officer and an Industry 4.0 program, etc., like we do at Schneider Electric. But for smaller companies, it's really about, I mean, launching many small initiatives and learning by doing, and that's the way we're doing it at Schneider Electric, and then developing some know-how. Somehow the technology is changing fast, and that's not providing, I would say, confidence. I mean, some of our customers are tend to think that, well, let me wait because it's too complex. I have so many technology providers that knock on my door and want me to use their technology, and I think there are very easy way to test small ways, and it doesn't, I mean, a project doesn't mean millions of money being invested. There are very cheap ways to test some technology, especially now with as-a-service models. So that's really the advice. Now, the key is always having the right skills and finding some partners to help, and that's something on which we're working a lot, especially in France. Not just in France, but especially in France with regions, to make sure that we help smaller players to understand and to support them with the right skills, also learning by others. So the factory that we've equipped, which is now it's not a showroom because it's a real factory, but we use it. It's a lab for customers, and we've had more than 2,500 visitors. I mean, customer, not just visitors, but customer visiting that factory just in the past 6 months. And there's a queue of people who want to just see, because indeed walking our customer through not just the technology and the factory, but the journey that we went through to equip the factory is really what most players want to hear and talk about.
And for a company like Schneider, which is a big and large international company, how will you scale up, I would say, all this initiative? Because on one hand, that's a very good opportunity because you have the right size, the global size, but on the other hand, maybe the size is too large. So how do you manage that?
Yeah, and the big question for which, frankly, I don't have the answer, or we don't have the answer, is what needs to be global, what needs to be local? And this is complex because we want agility, we want speed, we want to be close to markets. At the same time, we're a global company, we need to make sure that we leverage our scale. And so for that, we don't have an answer yet. We're testing, and we've learned the hard way by asking some global teams to take care of things that actually we've concluded would be cheaper and faster local. So that's one. Now, obviously, launching many initiatives and learning, also acknowledging when we don't think we should be focusing on something is the most difficult.
Okay. Regarding the future of work, meaning because this industry 4.0 or the digital of operations or even the development of new business model will have impacts on the let's say on the workforce. So have you already started working on new let's say type of skills, new ways of operating internally?
So actually we have many discussions with unions on this. What we've noticed so far is that, especially in our factories are already highly automated. So I think there's definitely a lot of discussion with workforces around, okay, we implement automation, that's going to reduce the number of jobs in a factory. Well, yes, no, every case is different. But when the factory is already highly automated, what we've noticed is that most of the operators are actually, they love Industry 4.0 because their job is really becoming there's a lot more added value. We need to train them, but their job is, so they see their job as a journey, and so they see that as a real development opportunities. We also need to add new types of skills, data scientists, so things that were not done at all in our operations team, so that's kind of new jobs. So for the time being, we see some jobs being transformed and developed, some new jobs being created. Obviously, for factories that have not been automated, if we completely automate, that means that some jobs are completely, some are disappearing and new ones being created. But every case is different, and definitely that's a lot of discussion and embarking the workforce and working a lot with our HR teams to make sure that we train and is key for the success of those projects.
In terms of application, so maybe it will be a secret or I don't know, but what do you see as a link between Schneider Electric and the automotive industry with all this disruption, with the connected vehicles, with mobility, electrical vehicles as well?
So I think that first, the automotive industry is really, there's a lot, I think 10 years back, 2008, when the big crisis happened, I think nobody could imagine what's going to happen. Now it's fascinating to see what's happening in that industry. Obviously, at Schneider Electric, we work a lot around the electrification of transportation. Obviously, not in the car itself, but all the infrastructure that's required behind. And that means massive implication for the grid and for the way we need to transport electricity. There are also a lot of things on which now we are discussing with the automotive industry, because now the car of tomorrow can store energy. So it can be also a solution for some of the issues we see in the grid. So things, again, that we had not in mind some time ago. So these are things on which we are working. Obviously, not just in France, but in many parts of the world. Not just us, by the way. This is more, we're working with industrial sectors at large in Europe, in China, etc., etc.
Okay, so challenge, you have the great challenge. I think that you have a lot of initiatives already undertaken. Any additional advice or thing that you want to overcome or to talk about? I would say on top of, for you, what's the next steps regarding Schneider on that?
So we have a lot on our plate. I think managing speed and understanding at what pace things will happen is very difficult. I think the automotive industry knows that. I mean, we see with what's happened with a few crises, let's put it that way, with the diesel or with some. So and that's very difficult to anticipate how customers will react. And we always tend to underestimate some adoptions, and also to overestimate the capacity of some markets to adopt new technologies. So that will remain, I think, a challenge for the years to come.
So thank you, Christelle. I think it was fantastic to have you today with us to share your experience.
Thank you.
And for your inspiring, I would say, initiatives. Thanks a lot.
Ladies and gentlemen, hands together for Christelle and Magali. Thank you so much. Enjoyable way to fill in the time before we find out who our winners are. And I'm sure, Christelle and Magali, you have your favourites as well. Let's find out. This is actually how you feel as well. Right. So I believe we know who the winner is. I'm going to invite back now onto the stage the president of the jury and also the president of Nokia France as well. Please welcome back to the stage, Thierry Boinon. Come and join me on stage, Thierry. That's yours. Right, so...
Hello, thank you.
So first of all, before we go any further, as sponsors of and supporters of this startup session and also the afternoon, tell us a little bit more about the connection between Industry 4.0 and Nokia. Tell us more about what you're doing.
Yeah, so of course, Nokia is very pleased to partner with the Mondial Tech, because we think our technology, the telecom, the connectivity, all this part is something which is crucial for the development of the transportation in general. So everything which is mobile connectivity, but also autonomous cars, autonomous bus in the future, and all those development is very important. So we work with a lot of partners in the automotive industry, with car manufacturers, and also all the digital transformation which is critical in the Industry 4.0. And obviously this is also very interesting for us to sponsor some events around the startups, because we want and we need to develop much more ecosystem, as been told by Jean-Luc Bella earlier today and by our partners in this industry. We need absolutely to develop ourselves in this domain. That's why, by the way, we have one of the founder of the concept of the garage. So we have set up a garage in Nokia now since many years. We have even relaunched a new Garage 2.0, which is now also connected to Fab Lab, and where we really develop not only the creation, we welcome some startup in incubation, and we also have the connection to the development of the product and the products of the future. So there is a lot of transformation on this.
I'm just going to move over here just to make it easier for our cameras and our photographers as well. Right?
Yes.
So we heard 8 different ideas, 8 big ideas here on stage. You went away, you discussed it. Was it a difficult decision? How did you come up with?
Yeah, first,
with
thank you for all those presentations. I think all of us, we find that it was very interesting content, that it was a very high level of content, and that the startup are really well defined and well developed. And it was also a very nice speech that we had, because many of them were exactly at the second, so it was really fantastically well prepared. It was difficult to find the best out of the 8, but even if it was difficult, we find one.
Okay.
So we are ready to do that. What I wanted also to say is that Nokia, who is a little bit supporting that part, is also we welcome the winner, and we will invite in our garage also for a visit, and we welcome the startup to join us for some time and for discussion and presentation in our office, which is close to Paris, when we will have the winner on this event.
So not only will they win the title, but they also actually have a chance to
Exactly.
meet you and get advice and take
Exactly,
their idea
to
further
share with
as well.
some people in our team, yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, Thierry, I think it's time for you to announce the winner of the Industry 4.0 startup competition.
So where is the winner? So the winner is Arculus.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Arculus.
Where is he? Yes. So here you are. Well done. Thank you.
Just a quick photograph. There we are, with together on stage. And if also the other jury members, if you could please join us also on stage again for another photograph. So the other jury members from earlier on, if you come and join us on stage. Okay, other jury members come on stage. Fantastic. Great, and if you stand in the center there, and we'll get a nice photograph with everybody together. There we are, ladies and gentlemen. Please, once again, put your hands together for Arculus, the winner of the Startup Awards competition, Industry 4.0. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up our day here on this stage, on the ring stage for Mondial Tech 2018. But listen, we actually we're actually not finishing here on the stage right now. We actually still have more to come. If you make your way off the stage. Thank you, Thierry. Thank you very much. We actually also have at 6:15, France Autotech. They're also presenting a great session on how French startups are reinventing the automobile industry with fantastic speakers from Ferrer and also BlaBlaCar, to name just a few. Ladies and gentlemen, that is all from me right now. I will join you back tomorrow morning at... I don't even know what time I'm going to join you tomorrow morning because I have to ask Benjamin what time I start. What time? 8:30. 10:30. 8:30. 10:30, I will join you back here on stage, on the ring stage tomorrow morning for day 3 of Mondial Tech 2018.
Alors, bonsoir à tous. J'ai l'immense honneur ce soir de représenter France Autotech et au nom de l'association de vous souhaiter à tous la bienvenue dans ce magnifique ring. Et pour le premier round de ce ring, monsieur le secrétaire d'État au numérique Mounir Majoubi, dont l'agenda n'a pas permis d'être avec nous ce soir, a tenu malgré tout à nous partager quelques mots.
Bonjour à toutes et bonjour à tous. Ça fait plusieurs années que la French Tech existe en France. La French Tech, c'est le nom de famille que se sont donnés tous les entrepreneurs du numérique et qui se sont donnés pour mission de diffuser l'innovation, d'être les meilleurs, de partir à la conquête du monde, mais de le faire au service des humains, de le faire au service de tous. Cette French Tech aujourd'hui, elle marche bien. Cette French Tech, elle est dynamique, avec près de 10 000 startups à travers tout le territoire. Cette année, nous avons voulu donner un coup d'accélérateur à la French Tech, permettre à certaines entreprises dans certains secteurs d'aller toujours plus vite, d'aller toujours plus fort et de montrer que l'expertise française peut avoir de la valeur partout dans le monde. Et parmi ces secteurs, le secteur de l'automobile joue un rôle particulier. Parce que la France, historiquement, a toujours été très présente dans le véhicule, a toujours été très présente dans les mobilités. Et donc c'est tout naturellement qu'une opération, une initiative comme Autotech est absolument pour nous essentielle. Donc je la soutiens personnellement et je pense que votre succès sera le succès de toute une industrie et sera un succès pour toute la French Tech réunie. Aujourd'hui, c'est 40 millions d'automobilistes en France. 40 millions d'automobilistes qui ont envie d'innovation et qui ont envie d'une innovation responsable, d'une technologie et d'une innovation au service du bien, au service des humains et de la planète. Ça veut dire des innovations de la mobilité qui respectent les données personnelles, respectent la sécurité routière, réfléchissent à l'impact environnemental dans tous les espaces où elle va se diffuser. Alors encore une fois, merci à vous tous de vous être mobilisés autour de l'autotech. Je suis certain que dans les prochains mois, ce sujet des nouvelles mobilités va être très important dans le débat national, mais aussi dans le débat européen. Nous nous sommes engagés avec Elisabeth Borne à porter, dans le cadre de la loi d'orientation des mobilités, de nombreux sujets autour du numérique appliqué à la mobilité. Alors merci à toutes et en route pour l'autotech.
Alors, France Autotech ou Autotech pour les intimes comme Monsieur le Ministre, ou encore FAT pour les plus comiques d'entre vous, c'est l'association des startups françaises de l'automobilité. Et quand on sait qu'une voiture est immobile 96% de son temps de vie, on devrait presque parler d'auto-immobilité. Bien non, puisque c'est ça que les startups de France Autotech entendent changer en promouvant et en développant une mobilité plus connectée, plus autonome, plus partagée, en changeant les usages, plus électrique et plus digitale. France Autotech, c'est déjà 30 startups membres aujourd'hui, sur une population qu'on dénombre à 300 startups Autotech en France. Certaines sont dans la salle. Et c'est une ambition commune, une vision commune de simplifier le parcours de l'automobiliste responsable pour une mobilité plus économique, plus écologique et plus sûre. Alors l'automobilité, nous allons en parler avec nos panélistes ce soir. Start-up, elles ne sont plus scale-up, elles sont devenues. Guillaume, Frédéric, bonsoir. Vous incarnez l'Autotech Dream. On aurait presque pu intituler le panel « Qui veut prendre leur place ?» On est heureux de vous avoir ce soir. J'aurai le plaisir de présenter ce panel également avec mon partenaire André Benoît de Capgemini. Bonsoir. Ça devrait marcher.
Allô? Ouais. Bonsoir, Michael. C'est un plaisir et un honneur aussi donc, de lancer Autotech. Alors, comment Capgemini est arrivé dans cette aventure? En fait, vous avez tous entendu parler de France FinTech, de France Biotech, de la French Tech dont parlait Ouija Manubi. Il n'y avait pas jusqu'à présent de France Autotech. Or, que la filière se structure, que la capacité d'innovation se mutualise, se mette en réseau, que les problématiques spécifiques des startups soient portées, nous a semblé tout à fait important. Capgemini, aujourd'hui, développe de plus en plus de services innovants à la pointe. Et quand on les innove et on les développe, on le fait en réseau, on le fait en écosystème. Et cette idée d'écosystème, elle est importante pour nous avec 3 acceptations du mot éco. Éco au sens économique, c'est-à-dire pour faire du business qui crée de la valeur aujourd'hui. Éco au sens de l'environnement, c'est-à-dire pour des solutions innovantes qui respectent l'environnement. Et éco dans le sens étymologique du grec, du bien commun et de la maison commune. Et ce qui nous a aussi beaucoup marqué dans Autotech, c'est la charte Autotech for Good, dans lequel on se retrouve pleinement dans les valeurs que vous avancez, de protection des données pour le consommateur, de sécurité et de respect de l'environnement.
Et dont nous allons parler avec nos panélistes.
Alors, tu as introduit nos 2 scale-up. Moi, j'ai le plaisir d'introduire 2 très grandes entreprises qui ont fait du rêve de l'automobile une réalité quotidienne, qui ont montré leur capacité à se réinventer, puisque nos 2 grands industriels, l'un c'est France Pare-Brise, Glass Drive, qui est une partie de Saint-Gobain. Alors j'ai eu la curiosité de regarder. Saint-Gobain, c'est une start-up en 1665 qui pitch Louis XIV pour fabriquer la galerie des glaces. C'est pas mal. Et puis j'ai regardé aussi donc Valeo avec Guillaume. Et Valeo, donc vous êtes créé à Saint-Ouen en 1923, je crois, et vous appuyez à l'époque faire d'auto. Voilà. Donc c'est votre regard croisé qui nous intéresse. Et sans tarder, j'engage le premier round sur ce ring. Et ma première question, en fait, est pour Frédéric. Frédéric, quelle vision vous avez-vous de l'automobilité responsable? Et en quoi Blablacar, ça contribue aujourd'hui à changer cette automobilité responsable?
Alors, bonsoir à tous. Dans Responsable, il y a peut-être déjà aussi bon sens. Je pense qu'avant tout, Blablacar, si ça fonctionne aujourd'hui et si ça a la croissance qu'on voit, c'est parce que c'est plein de bon sens. On parlait d'économie, on parlait d'écologie. Enfin, c'est quand même à la croisée des deux. C'est-à-dire qu'il n'y a pas besoin d'avoir fait Polytechnique pour deviner que c'est mieux de mettre 2 personnes par voiture que 2 voitures par personne. Et ben, c'est ce qu'on a essayé de faire, tout simplement, parce que du coup, ça coûte moins cher et bien, ça émet moins de gaz à effet de serre et tout ce qui va avec. Donc, en fait, évidemment, il y a plusieurs axes sur lesquels on apporte notre pierre à l'édifice. Le premier, c'est l'environnement. Donc, je viens d'en parler un petit peu. Voilà, on augmente le taux de remplissage des voitures, qui est en moyenne de 1,6 sur les trajets longue distance. Et nous, on le passe à 3. Donc c'est déjà beaucoup mieux en moyenne d'avoir 3 personnes par voiture que 1,6. Ensuite, il y a le côté création du lien social. Donc on a quand même 87% de nos membres qui nous disent qu'ils vivent une expérience sociale mémorable et agréable en covoiturage. Et on a une personne sur 2 qui indique qu'après un covoiturage, elle est plus ouverte aux autres. Donc ça, c'est aussi socialement quelque chose qui a beaucoup d'impact. Et ensuite, sur le côté sécurité routière, on a nos membres qui très clairement aussi nous déclarent. Alors on a 70% de nos conducteurs qui ont une conduite irréprochable versus 47% sur la population globale. Et en fait, il y a quelque chose qui rend beaucoup la chose possible, c'est aussi les avis, puisque les passagers notent les conducteurs. Donc forcément, quand vous conduisez mal, vous allez avoir une sale note. Donc du coup, ça vous incite à conduire mieux, à respecter le code de la route, à pas faire n'importe quoi, à pas non plus être subject à la colère sur la route. Enfin voilà, puisque de toute façon, vous avez quelqu'un dans la voiture qui va vous laisser une note à la fin. Et donc en fait, aussi à respecter mieux le code de la route. Alors quand je donne les pourcentages, parce qu'il y a quand même 85% des gens qui déclarent respecter mieux le code de la route quand ils ont des passagers à bord dans leur voiture que quand ils n'en ont pas. Donc on pose la question, alors d'accord, et les 15 autres pourcents, qu'est-ce qu'ils font? Non, ils respectaient déjà le code de la route, mais les autres le respectent encore mieux. Donc en fait, ça va dans le bon sens, forcément, et surtout, alors pour revenir à l'économie de ressources, évidemment, les voitures, elles passent là 96% de leur temps arrêté. Quand elles roulent, elles passent 0,5% de leur vie en fait dans les bouchons, 0,7% de leur vie à chercher une place de parking pour se garer. Il reste 2,8% du temps où effectivement elles vont de A à B, et quand elles roulent, 3 fois sur 4, on a un seul conducteur à bord, ce qui fait que 3 fois sur 4, on a 3 places libres dans la voiture. Donc après, quand on multiplie par le coût que ça coûte, c'est juste colossal. Donc forcément, on va dans le bon sens, on va dans le sens d'une mobilité partagée. Pourquoi? Parce que c'est beaucoup trop coûteux de ne pas le faire. Et je pense que maintenant, la technologie nous permet de le faire. Et ça va être beaucoup plus responsable. On va arrêter d'avoir des véhicules. Parce que les voitures, c'est les seuls qui sont arrêtés 96% du temps. Les bus, les avions, les trains, ils volent ou ils roulent 50 ou 80% de leur vie. Et quand ils roulent ou quand ils volent, ils ne sont pas à vide. C'est-à-dire qu'on ne fait pas voler les avions avec juste le pilote à bord. Pourtant, on fait voler toutes les voitures, faire rouler toutes les voitures avec juste le pilote à bord.
Alors, le covoiturage semble contribuer de manière assez évidente de l'autotech for good. Guillaume, en quoi acheter une nouvelle voiture, ça contribue de l'autotech for good et de la transformation de l'automobilité?
Alors bonsoir. Nous, on est parti des clients, des besoins des clients. Donc, quelques chiffres. 85% des ménages qui ont une voiture. Il y a 60% des Français qui vont travailler chaque matin en voiture. Donc, c'est pas uniquement parce qu'ils aiment leur voiture, c'est aussi souvent parce qu'ils n'ont pas le choix ou parce qu'ils pensent qu'ils n'ont pas le choix. Donc, nous, ce qu'on fait, c'est on est parti du besoin du client, on a essayé d'apporter de la technologie, de la modernité à un secteur qui n'était pas du tout organisé en fonction des besoins des clients, mais plutôt en fonction des besoins des constructeurs. Donc nous, on propose du choix, on propose des prix compétitifs. Je ne vais pas faire tout mon pitch commercial. Non, ce que je peux dire, il y a 35 millions de voitures en France, avec un âge moyen de 9 ans. Et pendant des années et des années, le gros sujet, c'était comment je peux vendre plus de voitures neuves à des gens qui sont déjà aisés, qui vont changer une voiture qui est assez récente. Et nous, ce qu'on fait, c'est qu'on essaie d'élargir le choix des ménages, à proposer des voitures reconditionnées, qu'on reconditionne nous-mêmes. On prolonge la vie des voitures. Et le gros enjeu, c'est sortir ces voitures anciennes du parc. Et c'est ce qu'a choisi de faire le gouvernement actuel. Donc on peut aussi dire des choses positives de temps en temps sur les gens qui nous gouvernent, avec la prime de conversion. Ils ont enfin compris qu'il fallait sortir ces vieilles voitures du parc et les remplacer par des voitures plus récentes. Une voiture diesel d'avant 2001, elle peut polluer jusqu'à 200 fois plus qu'une voiture diesel d'aujourd'hui. Donc nous, c'est là où on apporte quelque chose. On a industrialisé le reconditionnement des voitures. On apporte grâce à la technologie aussi, on permet aux clients de choisir leur voiture en ligne parmi des milliers de voitures. Ils peuvent les choisir virtuellement, il n'y a pas besoin de les déplacer dans des points de vente près de chez eux. Et voilà, et c'est ça qu'on fait, c'est ça, on permet aux ménages d'accéder à des voitures fiables, des voitures sûres et des voitures moins polluantes. Donc c'est ça notre pierre à l'édifice. Après, sinon, on est un distributeur de voitures. On opère sur un marché où on est tout à fait conscient qu'il va, au fur et à mesure, se réduire. L'an passé, il ne s'est jamais vendu autant de voitures en France, 2,1 millions de voitures neuves et 5,7 millions de voitures d'occasion. Il ne s'est jamais vendu autant de voitures. On pense que le marché va doucement descendre et nous, ce qu'on essaie de faire, c'est de participer au rajeunissement du parc.
Excellent.
Merci. Alors, quand on est dans le vitrage, Martial, à la fois dans le produit ou dans le service autour de vitrage, concrètement, participer à la réinvention de l'automobilité, ça veut dire quoi?
Effectivement, il y a deux aspects. Il y a l'aspect produit où le vitrage aujourd'hui va contribuer directement à la réduction des émissions de CO2 à travers des traitements techniques, à travers toute une technologie. Et puis également, l'allègement du vitrage, c'est moins de poids, c'est moins de CO2. Et puis pour ce qui me concerne plus directement chez Saint-Gobain, le service à l'automobile, Autotech for Good, ça veut dire deux choses. Nos clients sont les assureurs. L'assureur, c'est quelqu'un qui regarde le long terme, c'est quelqu'un qui regarde la prime, et à la fin, elle est payée par le client final. Donc être un acteur de l'automobilité responsable, c'est très important pour nous et pour nos partenaires assurantiels. Et puis nous, on agrège des prestataires indépendants. On est un réseau constitué d'entrepreneurs dans toute l'Europe et en France. Et ces acteurs-là, aujourd'hui, ils créent de la confiance. Et vous savez que dans les prestataires automobiles, pour ceux qui vont vous entretenir votre véhicule, avoir confiance, c'est la clé numéro 1. Et ce n'est pas la partie la plus simple ou celle qu'on a l'habitude de projeter sur le monde automobile.
Guillaume, je me tourne cette fois vers Guillaume de Vauchel de Valeo. Vous maîtrisez depuis longtemps la supply chain industrielle automobile traditionnelle. En quoi cette supply chain, aujourd'hui, elle se projette dans l'Autotech for Good, et qu'est-ce que ça veut dire pour vous chez Valeo?
Alors, Valeo est une entreprise du XXe siècle, créée au XXe siècle. Et au début du XXIe siècle, on a fait ce constat qui paraît évident aujourd'hui et que vous répétez, et vous avez raison de le répéter, c'est que le véhicule automobile tel qu'on le connaît aujourd'hui, c'est issu du XXe siècle et des villes et des usages du XXe siècle, où finalement, ce n'était pas très gênant d'avoir son véhicule opéré que quelques pourcents par jour, puisque de toute façon, il restait à côté de chez vous, ça gênait personne. Et donc, au début des années 2000, on s'est dit, la ville du XXIe siècle, qui est en fait une grande mégalopole, hein, donc du type Paris, ou beaucoup plus grande encore, le problème des véhicules de stationnement allait être de plus en plus prégnant. La mobilité per capita va augmenter, la population du monde grandit et se concentre dans ces grandes mégalopoles. Donc on se dit, nous, qu'est-ce qu'on peut faire? Donc on a décidé, ce qui aujourd'hui paraît plus ou moins évident, d'orienter Valeo strictement sur 3 sujets. Les économies d'énergie, le véhicule autonome et connecté, et ce qu'on appelle aujourd'hui la nouvelle mobilité. Alors nous, on est extrêmement fiers, parce que quelque part, des boîtes françaises peuvent aussi changer les habitudes dans le monde entier. En 2003, sur la Citroën C3, on a introduit le premier véhicule stop-start. Le moteur s'arrête quand le véhicule est à l'arrêt. C'est déjà un pas majeur, et ce qui nous a permis de rentrer dans cette mobilité, cette électromobilité qu'on vit aujourd'hui, donc qu'on appelle de nos voeux, parce qu'elle est beaucoup plus citoyenne, sereine, dans ces grands centres urbains. Premier point. Donc, quelque part, Valeo était capable, à partir, d'impulser ce changement.
Et de rationaliser les usages, finalement.
De
Parce qu'avoir une
rationaliser
voiture qui tourne au ralenti au feu rouge, c'est quand même assez absurde.
Oui, mais au début, ça n'a pas été si facile. On a eu d'abord peu de succès commercial. La voiture s'est vendue 35 000 voitures la première année. Ce n'était pas du tout ce qu'on espérait. Et puis, les gens n'étaient pas très contents parce qu'ils avaient l'impression que la voiture calait à chaque feu rouge. Ou au contraire, quand dans un gros embouteillage, la voiture ne s'arrêtait plus, on a l'impression que ça ne marchait plus. Alors qu'aujourd'hui, la fonction est parfaitement comprise.
Cette notion d'adoption client, elle est clé en fait. Hein.
Elle est absolument essentielle. Et c'est ce qu'on a essayé, donc, pour introduire ce véhicule autonome qu'on pressent depuis le début des années 2000, d'apporter un petit quelque chose. Et moi, je suis vraiment admirateur de Blablacar, donc, qui a transformé l'autostop, qui est une vieille pratique, en apportant un petit quelque chose, ce qui est le tiers de confiance. Désolé pour le petit quelque chose, parce que c'est votre métier. Et moi, du coup, mes 3 filles utilisent Blablacar, sans que leur père, très attentif, soit particulièrement inquiet. Et donc, on voit qu'en apportant ce petit quelque chose, donc nous, notre petit quelque chose, ce n'est pas un service, ce sont plutôt des technologies, on va pouvoir faire évoluer le monde. Alors, on a imaginé au début des années 2000 ce qui était le plus pénible. Alors, on a commencé par les manœuvres de stationnement. Donc, aujourd'hui, il y a des dizaines de millions de véhicules qui sont équipés de manœuvres de stationnement automatiques développées par Valeo. Ensuite, les manœuvres d'embouteillage. Personne n'a envie de conduire dans les embouteillages. Et puis maintenant, on s'attaque, le démonstrateur est ici à Paris, aux situations urbaines particulièrement stressantes. Donc en anglais, on appelle ça les pain points. On regarde chacun des pain points les uns après les autres et on essaye d'apporter notre petite pierre à l'édifice. C'est la manière dont on veut faire progresser l'auto, progresser les usages. On développe aussi donc, tout ce qui permet la connectivité, donc toutes ces petites briques techniques. Et on laisse ces messieurs, les startups, ces messieurs dames, il n'y a pas beaucoup de dames, je suis un peu désolé, développer, enfin moi j'appelle ça creuser les mines d'or, chercher la mine d'or, comme au début du XXe siècle en Californie. Donc nous, quelque part, on se positionne comme vendeur de pelles et de pioches. On vend les équipements technologiques qui vont permettre aux startups et aux autres de creuser les différents business models.
Alors, merci à tous les quatre pour ces regards croisés sur l'automobilité et donc la ruée vers le Klondike, si j'entends bien. Pour ceux d'entre vous qui, parce qu'on a un temps limité, vous aurez l'occasion de nous poser des questions mais lors du cocktail. Et puis, on est encore sous embargo dans encore 20 minutes, mais vous retrouverez aussi leurs témoignages et d'autres témoignages dans l'étude « Les startups françaises réinventent l'automobilité » dont tu nous parleras tout à l'heure. Maintenant, on va aborder le deuxième round. Et ce deuxième round, Autotech qui tenait beaucoup, Michael, c'est qu'est-ce qu'on peut dire de la relation start-up grand groupe. Mais il y avait un codicile à cette question que tu nous avais posée dans l'animation, qui était sans bullshit. Qu'est-ce que tu veux dire par là, Michael?
Eh bien, c'est, messieurs, vous inviter à partager vos anecdotes sur votre vision de la relation start-up grand groupe, en commençant par toi, Frédéric. Pour en arriver là où tu en es arrivé aujourd'hui avec Blablacar, est-ce que vraiment le fantasme de l'entrepreneur hacker qui ne respecte aucun code, qui coupe à travers champs et fait ça tout seul, c'est vraiment possible? Est-ce qu'on y arrive tout seul ou est-ce qu'il a fallu s'entourer, et notamment de partenaires dans l'écosystème?
Il y a plusieurs questions en une. Est-ce qu'on y arrive tout seul avec son équipe? Oui, parce qu'en fait, c'est quand même comme ça qu'il faut créer une innovation. Alors tout seul physiquement, non, mais tout seul en tant que société, les premières années, quand même beaucoup. Surtout quand on arrive effectivement dans un environnement où il peut y avoir des très grands acteurs, même si on est totalement différent parce qu'on va avoir beaucoup d'emprise par le nombre de gens qui utilisent le service, mais très peu par la surface financière, on va dire, ou justement l'intégration dans l'écosystème. Par contre, après, quand la communauté grandit et qu'au début, vous avez, je ne sais pas, 10 000 membres, et puis l'année, vous dites, on fait x2, vous en faites 20 000, puis on fait x2, puis après, ça fait 40 000, puis chaque année, ça fait x2. Sauf que quand après, vous commencez à avoir 1 million de membres, et que x2, ça fait 2, et que x2, ça fait 4, enfin, les puissances de 2, je ne vous fais pas un dessin, mais enfin, aujourd'hui, on est à 65 millions de membres, forcément, il y a un moment où il y a des gens qui se disent mais c'est quoi ce champignon? Enfin, comment ça se fait que ça fait x2 chaque année? Bah oui, parce qu'en fait on est sur du changement de comportement et que c'est la technologie qui a permis ça. Donc après, vous êtes en mesure d'aller effectivement discuter des choses intéressantes parce que vous commencez à compter les gens qui utilisent votre service. Et vous pouvez avoir des grandes boîtes qui, en fait, ils n'ont pas plus de clients que vous. Nous, on a 15 millions de membres inscrits sur Blablacar en France. C'est beaucoup, quoi. Et 65 millions dans le monde, donc c'est vraiment beaucoup. Et donc là, on a une discussion autre. Alors, on n'a pas une capitalisation ou des moyens financiers qui sont comparables aux grands groupes. N'empêche qu'on a le même nombre de clients. Donc déjà, au moins, on a une métrique sur laquelle on peut se mettre d'accord. Et donc, on a réussi petit à petit, au fur et à mesure des années, à faire des partenariats avec des très grands. Là, on a partenariat avec Vinci, avec AXA, avec Total, sur différents domaines, puisqu'en fait, si on regarde bien, notre écosystème, forcément, il tourne autour de tout le domaine automobile. Et donc forcément, on peut parler d'assurance, on peut parler des autoroutes, on peut parler de l'essence, on peut parler, tout ce qui tourne autour de l'énergie, tout ce qui tourne autour du covoiturage et de la voiture. Donc ça, on arrive à le faire au fur et à mesure des années. On a réussi à faire des très beaux partenariats avec ces acteurs-là.
Ça a permis d'enrichir l'offre. En fait, c'est ça que tu nous dis.
Oui,
pour toi,
et surtout, ça a permis d'obtenir pour notre communauté des avantages certains. Typiquement, avec Total, quand vous vous inscrivez sur Blablacar, alors comme le covoiturage est une activité reconnue comme étant économie d'énergie, générant des économies d'énergie, eh bien, il y a tout le programme des certificats d'économie d'énergie qui fait que Total peut valoriser les membres qui font du covoiturage et donc leur distribuer 15 € d'essence gratuit quand vous arrivez, vous inscrivez sur Blablacar à tous les membres, donc les millions de membres qui s'inscrivent. Donc ça, c'est lié justement aux économies d'énergie que le covoiturage génère. Ensuite, avec Vinci, ben, c'est pareil, on a pu encourager le passage au télépéage puisque ça aide tout le monde en termes de fluidité, en termes de gain de temps évidemment. Et de technologie de passer au télépéage. Donc on les a accompagnés justement sur ce passage-là, puisque quand vous êtes membre de Blablacar et que vous prenez un badge télépéage Vinci Blablacar, ben, vous ne payez pas les frais de gestion. Alors quand on avait annoncé ça, il faut faire attention parce que quand on a sorti ce partenariat où on ne paye pas les frais de gestion du badge télépéage, ça a été titré péage gratuit pour tous les covoitureurs. C'est pas vrai. Juste, c'est pas vrai. C'est pas ça. Il a fallu qu'on rectifie un petit peu en disant c'est les frais de gestion du badge de télépéage qui sont offerts. Ce n'est pas le péage lui-même. Je tiens à être clair. Peut-être qu'après on pourra aller négocier plus loin, mais ça va être un peu plus compliqué. Mais enfin, en tout cas, c'est une très belle offre. Et pareil, avec AXA, on est capable de proposer des formules d'assurance qui sont très adaptées aux covoitureurs, avec des choses qui ne sont pas couvertes dans les assurances habituelles. Par exemple, je sais pas, vous oubliez un objet dans une voiture et puis il faut que le conducteur vous le renvoie. Bon, bah ça c'est couvert. Vous avez un pneu crevé sur la route, il faut ramener tout le monde chez lui à la maison. Bon ben voilà, l'assistance va ramener tout le monde chez lui, parce qu'aujourd'hui les assistances forcément elles ramènent tout le monde au même endroit, mais là nous on dit bah oui, mais dans la voiture tout le monde n'allait pas au même endroit, donc on va ramener tout le monde chez lui. Enfin voilà, ce genre de service là avec une assurance complémentaire.
Et jusqu'au lancement d'une nouvelle offre Blablassure.
Oui, voilà. Et Blablassure, voilà, qui est l'offre d'assurance justement dédiée aux covoitureurs avec des prix qu'on espère battant toute concurrence, puisque justement c'est notre force aussi, avec un réseau où ne serait-ce qu'en France on a 15 millions d'inscrits, donc, et on a ça doit être quasiment 4 millions d'automobilistes qui sont inscrits, donc on a forcément une masse qui fait qu'on peut envisager des vraies grandes réductions de prix grâce au fait qu'on est très nombreux dans cette communauté de covoiturage.
Super.
Alors, Guillaume, vu de Valeo, cette question de la relation start-up-grand groupe, alors, sachant que au cœur de votre performance de grand industriel mondial, il y a un modèle d'excellence opérationnelle extrêmement rigoureux, sur lequel vous travaillez sans cesse, sur lequel vous améliorez en permanence la qualité, donc qui est une machine formidable, mais qui n'est pas forcément extrêmement souple pour accueillir la créativité, la disruption à la vitesse des start-up. Comment vous, chez Valeo, vous gérez ce paradoxe et quelle répartition des responsabilités, quand vous travaillez sur un sujet commun d'innovation, entre vous et les startups?
Alors d'abord, tu as raison de dire qu'un grand groupe, c'est pas une start-up. Donc la preuve, moi je suis le seul à avoir la cravate corporate du groupe, les autres étant plus débraillés, bien sûr. Alors, l'automobile, c'est d'abord une excellence industrielle. On oublie de le rappeler, donc je ne vais pas donner beaucoup de chiffres, mais j'aime bien celui-là. Quand vous achetez un véhicule de volume d'1,5 tonne, c'est 15 000 €, c'est 10 € le kilo. Vous enlevez les frais de commercialisation, les TVA, la marge du constructeur, etc. C'est-à-dire que Valeo, c'est 5 € le kilo. C'est 5 € le kilo, avec plus de mouvements logistiques qu'Amazon. On a fait le benchmark. Il y a plus de pièces Valeo qui bougent tous les jours que des pièces manipulées par Amazon. C'est moins d'un défaut par 1 million de pièces livrées aux constructeurs. Donc c'est une performance industrielle. Et ça, c'est notre ADN, il ne faut pas le casser. Mais par contre, ça, ce n'est pas du tout adapté à un monde qui bouge, un monde en perpétuelle révolution. Donc on a décidé d'être schizophrénique, d'avoir deux cerveaux. Un cerveau droit ou gauche, je ne sais pas, qui correspond à ces ppm, cette excellence industrielle, son prix de revient, etc. Et un cerveau gauche inventif. Donc là, on a regardé autour de nous. Donc nous, on estime qu'il y a 30 000 startups intéressantes pour nous. Dans les services, comme futurs clients, dans les fournisseurs technologiques, etc. Et qu'il y avait quelque part des hotspots où en fait on cristallise des endroits, et il y a des lieux, un génie du lieu, où en fait il se passe quelque chose. Alors on a identifié un certain nombre de lieux. Il y a Paris, bien sûr, on est bien placé pour
on est là pour ça aujourd'hui.
Il y a Tel Aviv, il y a la baie de San Francisco, il y a Shenzhen, etc. Mais il n'y en a pas tant que ça. Et on a aussi identifié que dans chacun des lieux, il y avait des manières d'être différentes. Donc ça, c'est la première chose qu'on a apprise. Le problème, ce n'est pas d'adapter Valeo à la start-up, c'est de s'adapter que Valeo s'adapte aux besoins de la start-up. Alors pour une raison toute bête, c'est pas de l'altruisme, c'est qu'on n'a pas trouvé de moyens pour forcer les gens à être intelligents. Si on savait, on serait peut-être moins souple sur les... Mais en fait, quand on travaille avec une start-up, on travaille avec des personnes. Et ça, on a un très très grand respect pour ces personnes qui donc vont nous apporter les technos, les services de demain. Donc on essaye vraiment de faire quelque chose de win-win, parce que c'est pas... si un des deux pieds du binôme ne marche pas, rien ne va marcher. Alors comment on s'y prend? Parce qu'on a gardé notre excellence opérationnelle, donc on ne veut pas une armée d'administratifs pour gérer les startups. Donc on s'est dit, la meilleure des choses, c'est d'investir dans des fonds. Alors, pas un fonds Valeo, mais un fonds dans lequel on prend une part suffisante pour avoir un membre au board, donc pour être intime avec le fonds, pour partager nos technologies profondément. Donc là, il y avait par exemple des fonds qui venaient visiter notre showroom confidentiel, donc pour qu'ils comprennent bien notre stratégie. Et puis là, vous avez des gens dont c'est le métier d'aller faire grandir des startups. Donc faire ce fameux scouting que nous, on ne sait pas faire parce qu'on n'a personne. On a une personne en charge de ce qu'on appelle l'incubateur Valeo des startups et des technologies. Une seule. Mais on a 6 fonds. Hein. On a des fonds spécialisés par zone et par nature de startups. Et là, en fait, on a ce fonds, on a cet échange win-win avec le fonds qui nous fait ce scouting gratuitement. Et nous, on fait l'expertise technique gratuitement. Et à la minute où on se prononce, la société n'a pas exactement la même valeur. Et ensuite, on laisse le fonds décider lui-même, ou si ça nous intéresse directement, on investit nous-mêmes. Donc on a ce deal flow qui est alimenté par ces startups, ces fonds, qui nous permet de faire à peu près un deal par mois d'une manière ou d'une autre. Donc c'est comme une activité importante. Et souvent maintenant, ces deals-là, même s'ils deviennent complètement intégralement part de Valeo, on leur laisse une vie différente parce que le métier est différent.
Alors, c'est intéressant justement pour faire le pont avec l'autre Guillaume sur scène aujourd'hui. On a parlé partenariat produit, on a parlé investissement. La relation start-up grand groupe, c'est aussi l'occasion de rapprochement quand ça fait du sens. En quoi, Guillaume, aujourd'hui Aramis est plus fort au sein du groupe PSA? Alors, nous dans la toute petite histoire de notre entreprise, on l'a fondée à deux fin 2001 avec nos économies. Donc il y a eu une première phase 2001-2009 où on s'est développé tout seul. En 2009, on a fait une première levée de fonds auprès de fonds d'investissement traditionnels. Et ensuite, il y a eu une deuxième phase de développement jusqu'en 2016, où là, on avait de nouveau besoin de lever des fonds pour s'étendre à l'international, accessoirement pour sortir également les premiers fonds qui étaient rentrés un peu plus tôt, mais surtout pour se développer à l'international. Et là, on a eu l'opportunité de travailler avec PSA. On a d'abord fait une levée de fonds traditionnelle, et puis finalement, on l'a fait avec PSA. Qui a pris une majorité du capital, une grosse majorité, mais les fondateurs et les managers de l'entreprise ont une très grosse minorité. L'intérêt pour nous, c'était de bénéficier à la fois de moyens supplémentaires que pouvaient nous apporter des fonds d'investissement, mais également de synergies industrielles que ne peut pas apporter un fonds. Donc, par exemple, on achète des voitures à PSA, il n'y a aucune manière d'acheter des voitures à un fonds d'investissement. Par exemple, on s'est implanté en Espagne, on a récupéré un bâtiment industriel de PSA pour faire une autre usine de reconditionnement, etc., etc. Donc on a à la fois de l'argent, parce que c'est un groupe qui a des moyens, et en même temps, on bénéficie de synergies industrielles. Et tout ça, ça n'aurait pas pu marcher si on n'était pas tombé d'accord sur le fait qu'on devait rester complètement autonome au sein du groupe. Donc, il nous gère, entre guillemets, comme une participation financière. Il y a un board, il y a un pacte d'actionnaires, et tout est écrit, et on est complètement autonome. Alors bien sûr, ils ont un droit de regard sur les décisions majeures, mais nous, de notre côté, on apprend des choses, on bénéficie de moyens, on bénéficie de soutien international. Eux, de leur côté, on participe de leur stratégie, et ils apprennent des choses aussi parce qu'on les challenge, des choses sur lesquelles ils pensaient être très bons, en fait, ils ne le sont pas tant que ça. Et du coup, c'est un peu... alors win-win, c'est un peu galvaudé, mais tout le monde y trouve son intérêt. Et on est resté complètement autonome, on s'en était assuré au plus haut niveau de l'entreprise qui nous laisserait tranquilles. Et c'est ce qu'ils font pour l'instant. Donc pour l'instant, ça se passe très bien. Voilà, c'est une forme d'alliance, mais qui n'est pas arrivée du jour au lendemain. Il y a eu toute une évolution. Et on voulait aussi aller beaucoup plus vite. On est dans un métier qui est assez capitalistique. Nous, on vend des voitures, donc il faut les acheter, il faut les reconditionner. Enfin, on a
un BFR qui est important, et ça nous permettait également d'aller beaucoup plus vite. Voilà.
Alors, Martial, tu nous disais tout à l'heure, moi, France Pare-Brise, je fédère un réseau d'entrepreneurs indépendants, très proches de leurs clients, dans un réseau de ce type-là, qui est à la pointe du service dans un grand groupe. Comment on s'ouvre à ce travail avec les startups, et est-ce que France Autotech peut apporter quelque chose de point de vue?
Alors nous, on est convaincus que cette alliance avec France Autotech et cette proximité, elle est hyper créatrice de valeur. Il faut savoir que le bris de glace, c'est un sinistre qui arrive tous les 5 à 7 ans. Et vous n'allez pas changer votre pare-brise par plaisir. J'en connais pas beaucoup des gens qui vont voir les dernières innovations de pare-brise pour le plaisir. Et la deuxième chose, c'est que c'est un sinistre qui se passe bien. On ne parle pas de collision, d'accident grave, etc. Et c'est un sinistre qui est pris en charge par l'assureur. Donc vous allez chez un prestataire automobile avec lequel la relation va globalement très bien se passer. Et ça, c'est nouveau. Parce qu'en fait, vous êtes plutôt habitué à tomber sur un garagiste ou quelqu'un avec qui vous allez plutôt être en défiance, en crainte, en résistance. Et donc, dans cette option de dire on a besoin de créer plus d'interactions avec nos clients, plus de fréquences, et en se basant sur la confiance qu'on a créée avec eux, on peut être le tiers de confiance dont parlait Guillaume pour leur apporter ces idées nouvelles qui ne sont pas si évidentes que ça, parce que vous ne confiez pas votre voiture à n'importe qui. Et ça, on a perçu dans nos contacts avec France Autotech que ça intéresse beaucoup les startups. Un véhicule, à la fin, il peut être connecté, autonome, intelligent, mais il est là, il faut s'en occuper. Donc il y a besoin d'un parking, il y a besoin d'un endroit de quelqu'un qui va le toucher. Et nous, on peut apporter ça. On a quelques exemples déjà dans notre réseau européen, puisqu'il y a 1200 centres, où des assureurs en ligne nous disent moi, j'assure des voitures, je ne les vois pas. Je ne veux pas assurer des trucs déjà abîmés, je voudrais que vous les regardiez. On a des gens qui font de la location de véhicules, ils ont besoin d'un endroit où déposer le véhicule. Ils le déposent chez nous. Mais si demain, des gens qui font de l'autopartage souhaitent avoir des parkings ou des salles d'attente, on a 1200 salles d'attente qui sont là. Et en fait, personne n'attend dans nos salles d'attente. Donc elles sont disponibles pour faire autre chose. Et c'est ça l'objectif derrière cette vision de partenariat avec France Autotech. Et ce qui est très intéressant, c'est que nos membres, qui sont plutôt des poseurs de vitrage du monde d'avant, si on peut dire, quand on leur a présenté là quelques représentants de France Autotech, il y a un enthousiasme énorme à dire oui, nous on a envie de rentrer là-dedans, on a envie de faire partie de cette transformation de l'automobile, et on accueille avec plaisir ces services qui n'ont rien à voir avec le pare-brise. Il n'y a pas d'objectif qui ait un lien avec le pare-brise, mais qui font vivre une expérience basée sur la confiance qui, elle, a de l'avenir.
Merci. Alors, je crois qu'on approche de la fin. Pour conclure ces 2 rounds, on voulait vous demander à chacun la conviction, l'idée clé, le message auquel vous êtes attaché, que vous voudriez partager avec nous et qu'on retire un peu de cet échange. Et je vais démarrer par Frédéric, parce que je sais, Frédéric, que tu dois enchaîner avec une autre conférence. Donc merci d'avoir été présent, et on te libère dans la foulée.
Alors donc l'idée que moi je pousse pour la suite, c'est que c'est très bien de penser à la technologie, mais il faut aussi penser au comportement. C'est marrant parce que j'entends aussi aujourd'hui que l'industrie automobile se rend compte, je l'ai entendu 1 ou 2 fois sur des panels aujourd'hui, qu'en fait c'est le client qui drive. Et donc en fait le client drive tellement que non seulement il doit driver la technologie que l'on doit développer, mais il doit aussi montrer les bons comportements. Et donc je crois beaucoup au fait qu'en changeant les comportements, on ira dans le bon sens aussi. Voilà, donc quand on parle de changer les comportements, ça veut dire quoi? Ça veut dire faire en sorte d'avoir soi-même une mobilité la plus responsable possible, partager, voir le déplacement comme un moyen, pas comme une fin. Et alors il y a aussi autre chose, pousser, on n'en parle pas assez d'ailleurs je trouve dans les mobilités, dans la responsabilité de nos mobilités, mais pousser aussi la non-mobilité, c'est-à-dire que parfois le meilleur déplacement c'est celui qu'on ne fait pas. Moi j'adore les solutions de vidéo conferencing parce que ça permet justement de voir les gens sans avoir à se déplacer, ça fait gagner beaucoup de temps, ça dépense beaucoup moins d'énergie, et donc en fait je pense que les choses qui font qu'on évite de la mobilité devraient aussi être inclus dans toutes les discussions de mobilité, parce que je pense que des solutions de vidéo, le téléphone a joué son rôle, mais enfin le vidéo joue aussi son rôle, tout ce qui est télétravail, tout ce qui va être télémédecine, tout ce qui va être télé quelque chose, va avoir un grand rôle dans notre responsabilisation de la mobilité. On n'a pas toujours besoin de se déplacer pour faire un truc, et si on peut ne pas se déplacer, c'est très bien. Voilà.
Merci Frédéric.
Merci beaucoup. Au revoir. Et à bientôt sur Blablacar dans une voiture.
Un petit coup de pub, ça c'est l'âme d'entrepreneur. Guillaume, un mot de la fin, une conviction à partager.
Alors, moi, j'ai la conviction que le futur ne se subit pas, il s'écrit ensemble. Et qu'en fait, il n'y a que ceux qui ont tenté leur chance qui gagneront. Et donc, on est là pour innover ensemble, faire des propositions. Et quelque part, c'est mon objectif que le groupe Valeo soit à l'écoute de toutes ces propositions. Mais ça fait beaucoup de bien quand on a un expert Valeo qui se rend compte subitement, parce que lui, il est payé tous les mois et que de toute façon, si on ne le fait pas sur le budget 2018, on le fera sur le budget 2019, que le gars en face de lui, il n'a que 3 mois à vivre, ça fait beaucoup de bien à l'entreprise. Et je pense aussi que Valeo va faire beaucoup de bien aux startups, parce qu'on a quand même, on le rappelle, presque 100 ans d'expérience automobile, donc on a un vrai savoir-faire aussi. Et en fait, c'est dans ce mélange, dans cette mixité, dans cette diversité, qu'on va créer des choses plus intelligentes, parce qu'on ne se ressemble pas. Et donc on n'est pas amené à se ressembler, on est amené à se compléter.
Merci beaucoup. Guillaume.
Moi, ce que je peux dire, c'est que nous, on s'est toujours rangé du côté du client. C'est comme ça qu'on a construit l'entreprise, parce qu'on voyait beaucoup de dysfonctionnements dans le secteur dans lequel on est. Donc moi, je ne crois pas que les changements vont se faire en culpabilisant les clients ou en allant contre leur volonté. C'est à l'industrie de faire le job, c'est à nous de faire le job, de leur proposer des solutions qui leur conviennent, qui soient plus respectueuses de l'environnement. Je pense que les comportements ne seront pas forcément très compliqués à changer. Simplement, il faut l'offre. Et aujourd'hui, force est de constater que l'offre n'est pas là pour que nos clients changent vraiment de façon radicale leur comportement. Encore une fois, ici, on a parfois un prisme un peu parisien, mais dès qu'on s'éloigne de la périphérie de Paris, la vie est complètement différente et on ne peut juste pas du tout faire sans voiture, voire sans 2 voitures. Donc je pense que c'est à nous de faire le job, enfin nous au sens large, les opérateurs, et pour convaincre les clients de changer leur comportement.
Merci. Martial, pour conclure.
Ouais, moi, ma conviction, c'est qu'on vit dans une époque passionnante où tout change et change à une vitesse dingue. Ce qui est compliqué de réaliser, c'est qu'on change dans l'écosystème. On change un petit bout, on en voit et on en perçoit une partie, mais c'est toutes les facettes qui sont en train d'évoluer en même temps. Et donc, ça veut dire pour nous le produit qui change. J'en parlais tout à l'heure, mais l'habitacle de l'automobile, le lieu de mobilité, c'est un lieu de vie. Et quand finalement la voiture devient intelligente ou autonome, on va passer du temps dedans. Le vitrage, pièce transparente à travers laquelle on regarde, peut devenir une pièce de projection. Et évidemment, alors qu'on ne changeait pas son pare-brise, seulement quand il était simplement cassé ou fêlé, si l'écran fonctionne moins bien, on peut avoir envie de changer d'écran. Et on peut avoir envie de changer sa manière dont on vit son véhicule. Et je ne suis pas tout à fait capable d'imaginer demain les niveaux de service qui vont arriver, la manière dont on va les faire, comment exactement ils seront exécutés. Mais je suis convaincu qu'il y aura besoin de tiers de confiance pour le faire. Et l'envie, c'est de pouvoir monter à bord de cette transformation et d'en faire partie.
Eh bien, merci beaucoup. J'aimerais, si vous le voulez bien, qu'on remercie nos panélistes chaleureusement. Avant de vous inviter à poursuivre la discussion, le débat autour de l'autotech à l'occasion du cocktail qu'on a organisé ensuite, j'aimerais vous partager une dernière nouvelle et pas des moindres. On dévoile et on met en ligne à l'instant, si on est bon, Marianne, je crois que c'est bon, le livre blanc, cette étude prospective que nous avons co-rédigée, coproduite avec notre partenaire Capgemini, dans lequel on va retrouver un recueil d'avis d'experts, dont celui de ces messieurs qu'on a eu l'honneur d'entendre aujourd'hui, des insights sur la transformation en cours dans l'industrie automobile, sur les axes connectés, puisque c'est une industrie qui demain se nourrira de la data, autonome, qui va changer définitivement le rapport social que l'on a avec l'automobile, partagé, puisque les usages se transforment, on en a beaucoup parlé aujourd'hui, électrique pour repenser le bilan CO2 des transports qui sont responsables de 30% des émissions de CO2 dans le monde, et enfin digital, puisque le digital s'invite à bord, nous permet de faire des choses depuis son canapé qu'il fallait faire avant ça en préfecture ou chez son garagiste, chez son assureur. Donc sur ces 5 mégatrends de l'industrie, Vous en trouverez à l'extérieur de la salle en version papier. N'hésitez pas à en ramener un à la maison. André Benoît.
Moi, de mon côté, je voulais remercier donc les équipes de Capgemini qui ont collaboré à ce point de vue. Donc, Michel Guigard, qui est notre VP Automotive, et Nick Gill, qui est le patron de la practice globale, et leurs équipes, donc Jérémy Weg et Claire Dutu. Je voudrais remercier aussi nos amis de 50 Partners, Adrien Rougier, qui nous ont mis au contact au début de cette aventure. Et puis je voulais te remercier toi, Mickaël, et tout le bureau d'Autotech pour votre énergie, pour votre niaque, comme on dit chez Capgemini, et puis pour votre enthousiasme. Et souhaiter longue vie à Autotech, puisque c'est le grand lancement aujourd'hui.
Eh bien, merci à tous, merci à nos panélistes, merci à toute l'équipe France Autotech, merci à nos sponsors, bien sûr, France Pare-Brise, membre du groupe Saint-Gobain, Capgemini, sans qui tout ça n'aurait pas pu être possible, à l'AMC, évidemment aux startups et surtout aux startups de l'autotech. Simplifier le parcours de l'automobiliste responsable, c'est la mission des startups de France Autotech. C'est pas fini, ça fait que commencer ce soir. Alors en route, rejoignez-nous tous et bon cocktail à tous. Merci beaucoup.
Et on prendra vos questions-réponses pendant le cocktail. N'hésitez pas à venir nous voir.
Merci.